Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
And introducing Billy Piper. No, 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 no. We're not going there.
No,
Well,
no, we will touch upon everything. We can touch upon a
oh
lot of
yeah,
issues.
we'll see. We can talk about that some. Yeah, no. Oh boy, what an! I mean, just talk about crap in the bed on that. I mean, not that this whole last season has not been awful. I've only watched a single episode, and I've mostly just tuned in to listen to your reviews and other people talking about the show this last season. Has just been all, and we thought the first season with Shooty was bad. This was appalling.
Appalling.
And then the whole thing with Billy Piper. Oh, hello. It's like, oh,
Ugh.
Jesus
I mean, I
God.
like Billy. I put that tweet up. I like Billy Piper, but this is
I
just annoying.
do.
I do like her. I did like what she did on Doctor Who. This
Yes,
is
I
just
liked
really
her as
annoying.
Rose.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what was I gonna say? Did you watch my latest review for
Y-
that episode?
Yes.
I actually thought it was a pretty good review. It's
Yeah.
gotten like I've attracted more weirdos now than usual.
Oh, the weird. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The people who want to be major apologists for Doctor Who are out in force. They're hitting all of the streams that would say anything negative about this because they think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in Doctor Who. Oh, now it's changed. Now Shooty's gonna now Billy Piper, and there's gonna be this amazing new storyline with Bad Wolf, and Billy Piper's gonna be the Doctor and whatever. Like, first of all, it didn't introduce her as the Doctor, so she's not the Doctor. Just Billy Piper.
I'll tell
I
you what I think. You know what? We'll touch upon that. Let's start with our main story, and then we can go meander our way to
Yeah, we
different
can find
things.
our way back over to that. Yeah.
So for starters, and the reason why I thought this story was also interesting is I kind of feel like we had been feeling this shift prior to anything official, meaning we were talking about it on these streams before Elon even started. It started seeming like he's unhappy because I think we were saying that he was a little more subdued. He's not, as aggressive with his posts online. He seems to be a bit quieter, and once that whole situation with Doge came along, we I was also saying that he sort of seems unhappy, and that it's more than just him taking a step back. And then right after our stream, I think, or while we were streaming, or at the end of it, suddenly it turned out that he said something, that he's unhappy with that bill. And today it passed, and he was more than unhappy. He took a much harsher stand. Before he was a little more jokey, but today he didn't seem jokey at all. If you know what I mean.
No, he seemed he seemed pretty serious as to what he had to say in his posts online. Those don't not a lot of memes in what he had to say this
No,
time
this was
around.
like very direct and very serious. I'm trying to find this thing. If I can find his wait a second. So it started with this. This thing here where he goes, "Oh, I have to share it."
Yeah.
So he says, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." And yeah, that's not like some funny meme or just something that he has a bit of a funny joke about. This seems like he's extremely serious about this, and more serious than we've seen.
Yeah.
Interestingly, also you see the person that answered him here. I agree with Elon. We have both seen the massive waste in government. This is Rand Paul spending, and we know another $5 trillion in debt is a huge mistake. We can and must do better. And then, Elon responds to him with quote tweets him with like a American flag. Now the thing is that on the same day, if I'm not mistaken, Jack Dorsey, the guy that, the co-creator of Twitter, he announced that, he would support Rand Paul if Rand Paul ran for president or something like that. So it's just kind of strange that all of this stuff is happening at the same time. I wonder, I wonder what's happening behind the scenes and what kind of an implication it'll have in the future. I'm not saying tomorrow, but I'm saying that this seems like a big deal. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the guy that created Twitter. I really, really don't prefer that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I personally, while he was in charge, I know that probably it wasn't him sitting putting shadow bans on my account every second, but he was the man in charge. And later you had that other guy, that Parij Arjawal or whatever his name was, and my account was shadow banned every 5 minutes for reporting on news, like entertainment news that people didn't like the what I was saying because I wasn't kissing the studio's asses. And in my book, neither of those guys, not Jack Dorsey and not that Parage guy, will never have any credibility. So that guy to me, like he means nothing. I mean, I guess you can give him credit that he created Twitter, fine, but I just
Mhm.
don't like. There's something about him that doesn't rub me the right way. But regardless, just pointing it out that suddenly this Rand Paul is suddenly like a name. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he didn't exist, but
Yes. No, yeah, Rand Paul's been around a long time as a deficit hawk. He's
right,
definitely somebody who has tried many, many times to bring a focus to our nation's debt, that we have a very, very significant deficit in spending versus revenues, and we have a very real problem with the debt that we're carrying as a nation, including the authorized debt limit. That's one of
yes,
the things right now that is actually a big sticking point for Rand Paul, basically saying, you know what, you're coming in, you're changing this, you're changing that, whatever. You're telling us that if we come in with these tax cuts, that those are going to incentivize more spending, we're actually going to improve revenues. That's great. If you think that, why do we need to increase our debt limit?
it's true.
If you think that this is actually going to be, something that's gonna fix a lot of these problems, then you need to come in and say, no, we're not going to hike up our debt limit anymore, because this is going to pay for itself. And if you genuinely think that's the case, great, take this debt limit thing out and I'll vote for your bill. He's said that openly. And you know what? I kind of support him on this. If they really believe that they've got the numbers right and they're saying that, yep, all of these tax cuts, these are going to be stimulus for our economy. It's going to really try and increase our economic activity so that we're raising more from the actual taxes that we have. We're getting more people back to work. We're incentivizing more businesses to start and so on. Then great. Stop with the debt limit stuff. Now I understand why Trump and some of the other people in the GOP want this debt limit thing to go in there. They're tired of this being a political football. Every time this debt limit thing comes up, it's an argument between, oh, should we increase the debt limit? Oh no, we've got to save money. Oh no, let's shut down the government. Now we can try and screw the Republicans, or the Republicans can try and screw the Democrats, or whatever. It's always this ridiculous fight over this. And when it does come up, it endangers our actual solvency as a country. It endangers our credit scores and so on. And so it's not good. It's not good when we have those arguments. So I understand why they want to have this in there, but at the same time, I also do. I am a fairly fiscally conservative person. I really do consider just this constant absurd level of spending is a major problem. And Rand Paul is exactly right when he says, if we move ahead with this bill, the Republicans will own this debt. They will own it. And that is not the message that a lot of Republicans, a lot of these more conservative, fiscally conservative members of Congress have been trying to send. And I think genuinely that's the same issue that Elon is upset with.
I
That
tend to sorry.
he's fiscally he's saying we have to rein this spending in. We have to rein in our debt, and this bill is not doing that. Go ahead.
And then what happened was is that Elon was doing all of this stuff with Doge, and he was getting a lot of heat for doing this Doge thing, and I feel like he really thought that he's doing something good. When he sees this happening, it almost just nullifies whatever Doge is doing because he's trying to cut spending, and meanwhile you have this thing going on. I could see why this would annoy him. You know what I mean? I know
Absolutely.
he's also people are like, oh, what does he carry? He has 150 million, 200 million, whatever billion. Sorry, $200 billion. Yeah, he has all of that, but I do think that he's very passionate about like his projects and the things he does. He's obviously a good businessman. He does whatever he needs to do to continue to make money, but I think that he's also, he knows how to run his businesses, and I think this is genuinely bothering him. So that's one thing. On the other hand, I'll tell you what, I don't love Rand Paul. I mean, I don't have anything against him, but I've always kind of had mixed feelings about Rand Paul. Isn't he like he's like Ron Paul's son, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always had kind of mixed feelings about both of them. I don't necessarily think something bad about them, but I don't know that whatever would consider. I don't know how fond I am of them either. I don't know why. There's probably not a good explanation as to why. I've always been kind of wary of these two, but
Yeah.
in this specific case, I can't really argue with him. It's not good to spend, so I'll accept it. But yeah, it's also interesting. I think that even from day one, even from this whole thing that Elon was kind of supporting Trump, there was always this feeling that at some point they're not going to see eye to eye on something. And I feel like we've kind of reached that point. It's been gradually heading here for a bit of time now, and I wonder how this will be moving forward. If this is like a speed bump or this is now like a bigger rift. What do you think?
A rift between Trump and Elon?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it might be to some extent. I think that they're not that the two of them are going to start some I could just imagine Trump and Elon having some sort of rapper beef, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that that I think Elon is genuinely from what he's saying, the language that he's using, it sounds to me like he is genuinely upset that when he came in, he put forth his time and his effort to try to improve things for the government by cutting cutting wasteful spending so that you could try and bring that deficit down. You could try and make sure that we're not going to keep increasing the debt on that same level that we have been. And now he sees, okay, well, I did all of that and I did the best that I could at trying to do that. And I pulled these people. It's not just him either, right? There's a whole bunch of other big business leaders that have come in to help with Doge and are helping run all these different areas and different departments. And then you've also got some young hotshot programmers and stuff that are coming in and helping with stuff. The All of these people that have come in have uh, I'm certain that just about all of them could be making a great deal more money doing something else, right? They're really donating their time to help try to fix a problem, something they view as a problem. And I think Elon might see this as being just a little disingenuous after, oh, we're going to come in and we're going to cut all of this stuff, and now we're just going to turn around and spend more,
Yeah,
right?
I think that this feels like a betrayal to him, and I'm interested in seeing how this all plays out, uh, or if it's going to change anything or make
Yeah,
any difference at all.
no,
But this is not nothing. I think this is actually a moment where something is shifting.
yeah. I don't think that this is going to turn into some sort of beef, that it's going to be some ongoing thing. I think he is genuinely upset by this bill and the amount of money that it's spending and the amount that it's adding to our debt. I don't know that it'll go any further than that. I think he still does believe in a lot of what's going on in this administration, but only time's going to tell on this whether Elon sticks to sticks with it and continues to support Trump, or we something else happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it all plays out, but it certainly seems like it's an interesting thing. I want to. There's somebody that put a comment here that I wanted to address. Marla Shandoff says Elon ruined Twitter. I can only speak from my own experience. Okay, my experience is, and most people know this about me. I actually the only reason I'm even streaming now. Well, you know what? They didn't do it in a for okay, how do I explain it? They didn't do anything good. Maybe it was like, kind of like accidentally good, but I started initially I didn't stream or didn't have any kind of online presence that I'm streaming or even talking to anybody. I only had a Twitter account initially. And in the Twitter account, I used to report on news happening in the entertainment industry. Even stuff a lot of stuff that was appearing in the trades, but sort of through a lens of more realistic and explaining how things are really working versus just the fluffy nonsense that these industry trades usually spread. And what I noticed is that suddenly, at least back in the day, a lot of times my tweets would actually gather some attention. Some of them went viral, and from time to time, they would even start appearing in the media, in like the mainstream media, sometimes independent media. And the more I did this, the more suddenly I noticed that my account, I would post something about a studio like Disney. I'm not saying that Disney had anything to do with it. I'm just saying that I would post about a studio like Disney, maybe losing money, maybe there's some problem with a project of theirs, maybe there's like there's issues with something, maybe I just don't like something, and suddenly I'd notice that I post a tweet and suddenly I could tell that 1 second people are liking, sharing, doing stuff, and then suddenly nobody can find the tweet anymore. Like you'd go to you could search for that specific tweet and you couldn't find it. It would basically start either shadow banning my tweets, and then when that didn't work, they started shadow banning me. So if you were trying to find my account or look at my tweets, they would just disappear. The fact that there were people or however it was working that it kept shadow banning me over and over again is something that it feels really shitty when it's happening to you. It's a very shitty feeling because I should be able to report on studios losing money, and I don't care if that studio advertises on the website. I'm allowed to talk about it. And the fact that Twitter was presenting itself as like sort of this they presented themselves as they were the town square that you could talk and do all this stuff, but they would only let you talk about what they wanted you to talk. And time again, I ran into it. At the end, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I can say that that doesn't happen to me anymore. I will still say that until this day, I think that there's certain de-amplifications on my account. I don't think that it's 100% what it was back in the day, but it's better than nothing. And I do think that his arrival changed that. So one could also argue that maybe his arrival opened the door for a lot of weirdos and grifters. Sometimes you see a lot of like kind of like annoying things that are being talked about, or really jerks. It's not all good, but if I had to weigh the good versus the bad, I think the idea of freedom of speech is important, and I feel like for me at least, it wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah. Uh, you know, I never had to worry about getting shadow banned. It wasn't a problem for me. I wasn't attempting to be any kind of a content creator, reporter, or anything like that on the platform. But for me, uh, it's gotten significantly better since Elon took it over. It was getting to be ridiculous as far as you like today. We have to worry about, oh, can we not say this thing, or can we not say that thing on on YouTube, right? Because we might get banned or something, or might get demonetized or whatever. That kind of thing. Uh, Seems like I mean that was constant on Twitter, back before Elon took over. There was constantly issues with people getting shadow banned, tweets taken down, all
But
sorts
only
of
people from a
political stuff.
certain
Yes,
only people that were sort
absolutely.
of not going with the mainstream media narrative. And again, I don't wanna say I'm not claiming that Kathleen Kennedy or her people called Twitter and asked me to be shadow banned. All I'm saying is that sometimes when I would tweet about stuff that's going on in Lucasfilm, including losing money and her leadership, there was once something that I wrote that ended up in the New York Post in an article. And I'm not saying that there's a connection between the two things. I'm just saying that later I would go to Twitter and I would post something and suddenly I would be banned or my tweet or my account or everything and sometimes for like a week and nobody even told me. The shadow banning is the shittiest thing because you think you're basically living in some strange matrix. You're sending it out thinking you're doing all this reporting, you're doing all this stuff and nobody could see it and they're basically just keeping you in your own matrix. They're fooling you into thinking that everything is great and you can do whatever you want, but in reality, they're just making sure that nobody sees what you wrote. It's sort of sinister and crappy because if you have something to say about what I did, say I'm suspended, say we don't want you here. At least be upfront about it, explain why you did it. You can't just suddenly sit there and hide what I'm saying because you're afraid that some New York Post or something will quote something that I said about some studio. I mean, maybe those studios should start making good movies and not stupid decisions and do dumb things. Maybe then I wouldn't tweet about it. You know what I mean? How is the answer? And I wasn't even a big account. It's not that I had like a million followers. You know what I mean? But I think that during those days, even me growing to the point that I did and even getting stuff out there, it seems more obvious now in the way Twitter is now. But at that moment, a lot of times it would surprise people that somehow my tweets broke through. And I guess I ended up paying a price for it. The price of reason, I guess. But that was it.
Hmm.
So, but at the same time, of course, Marla, you're entitled to your opinion. I will agree. Some people here in the chat were saying that these days Twitter is very, very political. Maybe that's true. Maybe there's more politics on Twitter now than there ever were, and perhaps in the past it was more just people talking about stuff. Marla Sharonov, I love the Twitter bird better than the X. You know, I initially when he made the change, I didn't quite know why he changed it, but I think that it wasn't a bad business decision. I think he wanted to make it clear that his platform is different than what was before, and as much as at that moment when he did it, I kind of raised my own eyebrow thinking this is a very dumb idea. I
Yeah.
actually I actually when I think about it now, I don't know if I thought it was dumb as much as I wasn't sure. And you know what? It's been X for a while, and I think he achieved his goal.
Yeah, the with the whole X thing, it's been, yeah, kind of weird. I too liked the Twitter birds, but at the same time, yes, I think he did want to put a brand on it to say, this is not the same platform that it used to be. I think that was an important thing. Also, he has had he's had this whole idea of X for a very long time, wanting to do sort of an everything app. This has been something that he's had on his mind for years, and he wanted to turn the he wanted to maybe turn X or modify X or something into an everything app like oh, what's the one in China? I just forgot the name of it. Um WeChat, right? Where it's, everything goes through this one app. You're going to do your banking in the app, and you're going to message in the app, and you're going to do your shopping in the app, and you're going to use it to pay for goods in physical stores and all. This whole idea of the everything app. This he's wanted this for a long time. He's thought about this for a long time. Personally, I don't want an everything app, and I'm not going to use an everything app, and I want nothing to do with an everything app. I do not want a single company that has control over my messaging and my transactions and my bank account and all of that. I don't want that. I do not want it. And we've already seen what can happen when companies have too much control over your stuff. We saw where company people who were doing online banking, when there was that protest, the trucker protest in Canada, and they could just pop in and just say, "Oh, turn their money off. It's fine. Just
Yeah.
shut their money off. Don't let them use their account or whatever." Like when you've got one platform that has all of that power, it's too much, and I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. And I've heard numerous things that have been happening in China that have been, yeah, Trump, China, that have been happening over there, with some of their everything apps and stuff, where like you're going to a store and literally, like, you in order to pay you have to scan your face, and then that doesn't work, so then you can't pay for the beverages you just bought because the payment method doesn't process because you're not there. And then, as Jimmy Nature points out in the Rumble chat, yeah, they've also integrated all sorts of crazy stuff with the social credit scores, right? Um, Elizabeth Quinn says, "Lol, when youngsters find out I won't use Apple Pay, they think I'm crazy. They will learn." There's nothing particularly wrong with Apple Pay, Elizabeth Quinn, especially since you can use different platforms to do that. Apple Pay is just one form of that, the tap to pay system. Uh, Honestly, the tap to pay is actually a lot more secure than some of the other systems. But I understand the idea of kind of not wanting to have everything all in one basket, and that's fine. But yeah, the believe it or not, yeah, tap to pay is actually more secure than the or magnetic stripe on the back of your credit card, or even a credit card that has RFID in it. So yeah, I mean, it's a good technology, but I understand not wanting to have a technology that's controlling all of your ability to pay for things.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes you need to kind of a separation of powers.
yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. We did have Jimmy Nature had a comment just a little bit ago, and then we also have we have some gifted subs over on YouTube to recognize.
oh,
But
okay. Well, we'll get to that.
let's see. Jimmy Nature said Elon's whining because he didn't get his EV tax credit, Starlink at the FFA, and his friend placed in the NASA position. He's sour. That could be a very real part of it. Yes, there's been issues with getting the EV tax credit as part of these bills. The Starlink has had some challenges being accepted for various different programs. And yeah, he had a particular person in mind he wanted in a position in NASA, and that person has not been immaculated into the job. So, though all of those things could potentially be contributing to his, uh,
Yeah, it's all possible.
to his
You
bad
never
feelings.
know.
But I think mostly, at least from the quotes that he's made recently, he's mostly upset, not so much with Trump, but with this bill that has had quite a bit of different pork and stuff that's been jammed into it, and upset with the GOP. Now it is his Trump's signature bill, so that goes along with it. But yeah, I think he's just very very upset that he's very upset that he put in a lot of work trying to save money in the federal government, and then they're just turning around and spending it, and not thinking any more deeply about the significant amount of debt and the regular deficits that we're running in the federal government. So yeah.
Yeah, and I've shown this before, but this was I think this was the day that I realized what was happening. So I had this thing, this thing that I wrote. HBO Max has decided that Elmer Fudd will no longer be using a gun to try to kill Bugs Bunny. Instead, he will be reading him Alyssa Milano's tweets, hoping it has a similar effect. It was just a toss away thing. It was receiving some traction. And I posted this afterwards because I actually, during those days, you could go and you could go to a site that could tell you if you're being banned. So I today these things don't work anymore. So I can't these apps don't work anymore. I don't know why. Maybe the API changed. Something is different. But I wrote here, Twitter has shadow banned me because of this tweet. Now, if you search within Twitter, you won't find me in the result. When you use the hashtag Elmer Fudd, this tweet has magically disappeared. I haven't violated any policies of my satire. So much for freedom of speech. And then this was the thing that I actually checked, and it says price of a reason exists, but search, suggestion ban, and search ban. So they basically made sure that nobody can see this tweet. And this is just a dumb tweet. I mean, seriously, imagine that somebody, most likely manually, sat and decided that this tweet can no longer be viewed by the public. Isn't that like insane, Professor?
It's it's rather silly. Yeah. And of course now it's getting even worse. Now it's not going to even be people who are looking at it saying, "Oh, that should get demonetized or whatever." No, now it's just going to be AI bots that look at stuff and look for keywords and some particular sentiment or something and then just start banning you no matter, regardless of the context of what you have to say.
And
So,
it wasn't the only case. Like I said, there was also situations. I was actually, when I found this, I was trying to find something else that uh, I had a situation where I wrote something about, about Lucasfilm or something like that, and very quickly something happened to me. And here, I have you ever heard of Reclaim the Net?
it sounds familiar, but I'm not really sure what it is.
They're like a publication that, like, sort of an independent publication. They sometimes even get quoted by people, like even like Elon Musk has quoted them, things like that. Uh, they were very early on looking into these type of things that are happening online, these kind of shadow bans, uh, things that were kind of behind the scenes happening that they thought were unfair, and really kind of looking into this whole freedom of speech and controlled speech and all that kind of stuff. They did some fantastic work for years when it wasn't easy to report on such things. So they actually, here there was something that I mentioned in some tweet where people were encouraging people to go burn like Louisville or something like that. And then when I wrote it, Reclaim the Net, if you see their answer here, they wrote, "Yet your harmless post gets shadow banned." Because it was already known that, like, I write some stupid thing and immediately and the only thing I can think of is that there were actually people sitting there and shadow banning specifically me, meaning, as absurd as this as absurd as this sounds, my name, you know how they talk about like how Biden pressured them on certain accounts. So yes, he didn't pressure them about my account, but I'm saying the people that would sit with the names of the accounts that are problematic, there's no other way to explain what happened to me except for that those people sat with my account. And the fact that they would sit around and me talking about like how The Last Jedi is crap and how Kathleen Kennedy has run her studio into the ground and how like Disney is doing a bunch of stupid movies, that they would sit there and like actually manually fiddle around with my account all the time based on what I was tweeting, is something that it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. I know sometimes I talk about it and I get really annoyed, but I still can't believe it happened. You know what I mean? It's like this is enough to get people to shut you up because you're talking about some studios. It's not. It's like, and then I wrote here that this irony has occurred to me. I make fun of media and entertainment hypocrisy, and I'm considered the threat.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, that's not happening now. I can write whatever I write on Twitter. There's other issues maybe, but at least that's the one thing that I could say, that I'm not worried anymore that I'll write it and that there's a team of people like deciding if people can see my tweet or not.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, the truth is that at the time I thought to myself of actually suing them. But the problem is that when you sign up for their platform and you sign up and you agree to their terms, I don't really think you have much of a case. I mean, theoretically, they could just say, "We don't want you here. We'll see you later."
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't have gotten me anywhere. I it would have made me feel good about myself, but it wouldn't have helped me in any way. But sorry, I don't know how we meandered here. Let's talk about something lighter.
Well, as I
uh,
said, we got a gift and a super chat
oh, okay, okay. Let's do
over
that.
on YouTube. Let's check those out.
Okay, cool.
Scrolling back here while you're pulling that up. We did get a gift of 5 Price of Reason Live membership. Price of Reason Live. I can't talk. Blah, 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 blah.
Do you have it? Can you share it?
Okay, yeah, I can share it if you need me to. Sec.
And Chad, I apologize for ranting about this. Sometimes I think about it and it does bother me. I know it shouldn't, but
So we have the Dead Man gifted 5 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. See,
that is very kind of you, the dead
speak
man.
English, so yeah. Yeah, 5 wonderful people got those gift subs.
The
And
dead man
hey,
is always cool with
yeah,
us. I
yeah.
don't think I didn't notice that, the dead man. It's really nice of you.
Yeah, and then we got us a super chat from the Dead Man for $10. Thank you, the Dead Man. Very kind. Dead Man, member of the channel, and $10 super chat here says, Price, thanks for letting me promote my channel last time. Shameless plug. Tomorrow night, I'm debuting my show, The Red Hour, 8 p.m. Eastern, where I talk about a random episode of Trek. Tomorrow, The Muse.
Guys, you should check out what the dead man is doing. Let me see if I can find this site. I'd share the link.
The Dead Man 79, I believe, is his.
It's the dead man 79. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to share this now. Oh, I think I did
Oh,
it.
yeah,
I
I think you put it in the private chat. Yes, the Dead Man 79 on YouTube. The Red Hour.
I just
Very nice.
shared your link.
Great title. And The Muse, a Deep Space Nine episode.
It sounds like a great show. It's a great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen all the episodes of Deep Space Nine, but I'm saying it sounds like what you're doing is cool, and good for you that you're doing it.
I have one question for you, the Dead Man. Are you one with the body? It's from the episode, The Red Hour.
I'm trying to think.
Re-
Oh, you're doing
return,
a few
re-
episodes. You're doing.
Return of the Archon.
Are you doing a few episodes? You're doing.
He's saying each episode is going to have a random episode of Star Trek. So tomorrow, his random episode, his first episode is going to be The Muse, which is a Deep Space Nine episode. If I'm correct.
Okay, I got you. I understand what you mean. I
Oh,
was
it's
trying.
a Voyager episode, The Muse, because I'm thinking of the Deep Space Nine episode, The Muse, Voyager.
You know, Voyager. I've always said this. I've only watched part of Voyager. I want to watch more of it, but somehow I never get around to it.
Muse. I think that one is just Muse.
Ah,
Yeah, that one's the one where where B'Elanna crashes on a planet and becomes the inspiration for a playwright.
ah.
Yeah, that's that one. Yeah. I was thinking of the Muse from Deep Space Nine, where there's a weird alien who likes to she can make people's creativity go wild so they can create the amazing like work that they're intended to do, but she's like draining their life while they do it. So yeah.
I see. I'm trying to remember. See, the thing with Deep Space Nine, I've seen every episode of that show at least once, but I admit that like there could be episodes that I maybe remember more than others. I assume that if I sat and watched it, it would come back to me. I clicked on images and I'm looking at it, and it's sort of familiar, but I don't remember every in and out, all the ins and outs from this episode. Unfortunately, I would probably have to
Mhm.
rewatch it. Oh, now that I'm looking at some pictures, it's coming back to me. I get it.
There's a bunch of that guys in that Voyager episode, including John Shuck.
Nice.
Yeah.
You mean like guest stars and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of guest stars like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Nice. What was I gonna say? So that was on the YouTube side. Did we get everything? That it was the
Yes,
Dead
I
Man
think
stuff.
we got them all. Yeah.
Cool. The Dead Man. This was very kind of you, and I really hope people check out your show. We put the links here. The Dead Man is a good guy. Always supports us, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm sure that if he does something cool with Star Trek, then it's worth a view. I'm
Indeed.
going to try to check it out myself. So
Yeah.
thanks for
Glad to
letting us know.
have the opportunity.
So yeah,
I have subscribed to your channel, good sir. So yeah, hopefully we'll get the
it's
notification.
weird because in P plus they call it Muse, but the episode they title it The Muse.
Aha. Okay.
It's all very interesting. Let's see for a second if I can find that. Also, if I haven't already subscribed, because I think I may have done that last time, I definitely will.
And
All right.
then you gotta interact with a video or leave a comment or something so you don't just get unsubscribed because
Oh, does that happen?
they think you're a bot. Yeah.
You know, that happens to me sometimes. I have a few YouTube channels, and one of them, the one that's like quote unquote the main one for like the reviews, that happens to me sometimes that I just refresh and suddenly I have like 5 less subscribers, and I don't know why. And I always wonder myself, where did those 5 subscribers go? And I can only assume that it's some kind of sweeping that maybe the system does, and it's like, oh, these guys aren't really interacting here, so we'll just remove them. That's kind of annoying, though, really, but it does happen. And if we're already talking about channels and platforms and things like that, if you're on Rumble watching through the app and you're not yet signed up, you should definitely sign up and also consider following us so that you always know when we're streaming. And even if you're not following and you want to know, we're always here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:45 p.m. Eastern. And also on the YouTube side, if you're watching through there, you should also sub. We've been getting some extra subs there recently, and we're sort of gradually growing something there. So if you're watching it and you're enjoying the stream and you haven't yet subscribed there, you should do that as well. Yeah. So,
You want to be notified when Price does secret karaoke stream.
right. Top secret karaoke. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done one in a while. Maybe at some point we'll do it.
I will probably not be joining Price for karaoke.
Tim Hayes says 5 less subs. Maybe they're bots. I think that YouTube thinks they're bots. I don't think they were initially bots, meaning, if you're maybe the critical drinker, you think maybe like some weird algorithms ran and followed you. But I don't think that with my channel, there's like bots filling it up. I think that probably YouTube, if they know that there's somebody that's been subscribed for a very long time, but maybe hasn't watched a video, like Professor said, hasn't commented, maybe there's some automatic thing that happens that they just remove the person. Which for me, I don't think that's a nice thing to do. I think that Brown from Mr. Brown Alliance has also gone through things like that in the past. And it's kind of a shame because if you have subscribers, you should be able to keep them. That's just my opinion, though. Anyhow, yeah, but it's a sweep of some sort in any case. Dude Rosef says, I want more top secret karaoke. That one was only on the YouTube side, but you know what? Maybe I'll consider doing that. Maybe on the Rumble side it'll be nicer to do. I'll think what to do with it. Anyhow, we were talking initially about the whole Doctor Who situation. So I don't know how many people here watch Doctor Who, but for those of you that don't exactly know, much like we talk about Star Wars and Star Trek, I'd say that when you think about the trinity of long running or really big sci-fi franchises, especially if you're thinking worldwide, you think Star Wars, you think Star Trek, and maybe in the United States not always as much, but Doctor Who is really up there as well. And I really really like the show, at least the way it was until 2017. I've watched
Mhm.
I've watched at least once every available episode of this show. There's episodes that are lost episodes. I haven't watched them or even listened to like audio cassettes of them or whatever it is. Anything that's available that a regular person can watch, I've watched it. And there's so much great history and mythology and lore to this franchise. And unfortunately, much like with all the other franchises, somewhere around 2017, it's the problem started before that, but somewhere around 2017, they took that whole show and put it through that whole like kind of woke ringer where they started. First of all, the doctor was became a woman, and then you know I don't think that I would have made the doctor a woman to begin with, but let's just say if you went that route, you needed really good writing and really good ideas, and they didn't have any ideas. They just wanted to do that kind of um, peddling propaganda and agendas and things like that. And the show, with its poor writing, really went off the rails. And as bad as that period was, they brought back Russell T Davies, a showrunner who once did a good job with the show, and he has become very, very overly political and very intolerable. And he took the
I
show, and again, I think that if they wanted a black actor, they could have hired a black actor. I mean, if he would have been like Idris Elba, I've said this probably a million times, and you had like good writing that's not political, and you just have like Idris Elba as the doctor, I don't think anybody would have cared. I think that if you have a good actor and good writing, people are very open, more open than you think, when there's actual real creativity behind it. But just to bring an actor who is black and also part of the LG community, and then make the character now be an LG character because you hired an actor that's an LG person, that starts becoming really dumb. Uh, you're not supposed to take your character and change it because you hired an actor who in real life is different than the character. Either hire somebody who is a good fit for playing the character, or hire the person that has his own preferences, but tell him that this character has to be played a certain way. Anyhow, it's been.
absolutely, yeah,
F-
yeah.
have you watched? Like, how much did you watch? I know you watched my reviews, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I watched one full episode of this of this season, and when I say watched, it was on, and I sort of paid attention to it as much as I could without being nauseous. Um, but and then I watched the Christmas special, which was an utter embarrassment. Yeah, oh, she swallows a star. Okay, sure.
I mean, the thing with the Christmas special is that they hired a woman who was sort of a plus size woman,
Yeah.
and then at the end, what happens is that she eats a star, and it's not intended to be funny. I'm sure that they didn't realize how funny it was when they did that.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you're so politically correct that you end up an idiot. And that's what happened to Russell T Davies with that thing. To bring in an actress who's plump and have her swallow a star is just
Yeah. The
that
key
is a
thing is that she eats something she really shouldn't have. That's like
right. It's so strange. So the
key
thing is,
plot
it's
point.
not like I was saying she's plump. Like she's plump and she ate a star. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
She's not an unattractive lady. She's kind of cute. But yes, she's plus size. And it's
To
I
bring an
mean,
actress who's plus size, but then to make her eat the thing, I don't know. It
and then
just
she's eating things. And it's like
right. There was something strange about everything, but
but yeah, no, I watched this very last episode. Uh I God, it was painful. It was just so painful. And I'll be honest, I'm not even sure I could recall any of the plot points to the thing other than somehow they have an imaginary baby. Um but the imaginary baby is real?
that whole episode
And
made zero sense. And not only that, there was some reshoots done there. Um, Clearly, they didn't initially think that he would be fired, Nishuri Gatwa, like the guy who plays the doctor. I think that there's a reshot part at the end, and especially you can tell because Millie Gibson looks different. By the way, Millie Gibson, I think that over the past year or so, I feel like she either lost weight and got into shape or both. And by the time you see like the reshoots, I think that she looks like the best she's looked on Doctor Who. It's like in that reshoot shot,
Yeah. She was, I think, near the end of her run, she had started gaining some weight, and I
maybe.
think I think from there she's now lost the weight and looks much better. Who knows why that happened? I mean, there's all sorts of medical things or just stress or whatever. But yeah, I think she looked really good in the episode here, and she's an attractive lady. So yeah, but yeah, the role that she played, I wasn't even sure like why she was there, and then they brought back the whole. There's the conservative radio host guy that's there, like controlling this perfect world. So weird.
This is the picture. Let me see if I can
And
find it.
then the big plan is for the Ronnie and Mrs. Flood, who is the Ronnie, but they've bi-generated again. It's the stupidest thing, the
So stupid.
dumbest effing thing they have ever introduced into Doctor Who, the bi-generation BS. Um,
Okay, okay. I got something for you, Professor. Are you with me? This is the reshoot of Millie Gibson. And man, this is like the best she's looked in 2 seasons. Like I felt like wow, like the more she removed herself from the show, the more she looked good. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like all you needed to make Millie Gibson look really good is for her to step away from the show or get fired wherever
yeah.
they did, and suddenly
Oh,
she's like, you know what? I'm going to the gym. Fuck those
yeah.
people. Sorry,
Well,
Sean.
perhaps there was probably some Ozempic in there as well, but um,
You know what?
that's
I don't know what did it. She
that's
does look
fine.
significantly
Yeah,
thinner in this shot. Do I not?
she's
Does she
always
not?
she's always looked like a lovely young woman, and yeah, she does look thinner. Yeah, she does look like she's lost some weight.
I agree. Somebody wrote here that throughout her run, or you were saying it, or I don't know. Somebody said it that as the episodes actually were going forward in season one, it looked like she was gaining weight throughout that shoot.
Yeah.
Uh, it also doesn't help. I think that they made an effort to try to not make her look good. I know that's a strange thing, but in 2025, that is a thing. I felt that in some cases they could have given her clothes that were more appealing, or like give her makeup or hair, or do stuff that's more appealing. And I really feel like they went out of their way to not make her look appealing. She still looked nice, but I feel you understand what I'm saying. That
Yes.
they wanted her to kind of look shabby and things like that. If you go back and look at things like Martha, or look at these kind of back in the day when you had actresses on the show, I think that they played up their looks. They wanted you to look at them and think, "Oh wow, she looks pretty good." That's what they wanted you to think. And these days, they're like, that's the last thing that they want. They don't want you to think that anybody looks good. But whatever they want or didn't want, I feel like at this point, you say it's Ozempic. I don't know. All I know is that she looks better here. I think this reshoot that they kind of just told her you have to come back here and do this stupid thing. She came and she looks like better. Even if you see other shots in the episode, you could tell some time has passed between those and this one.
Yep. Yeah.
And I agree with you. She was lovely all the time. I mean, listen, it's not that I'm also saying, first of all, a woman doesn't all have to like, they don't have to all be like sticks or like, weigh 1 pound. And the other thing is, it's not that I weigh like 1 pound. It's just that usually when I say the things I say, I'm taking into consideration that nobody's paying me, millions of dollars to be on some show. If you're getting like big money to be on a show, I think that it's expected that you're going to do your best when it comes to the presentation and things like that. If somebody gave me millions of dollars and said, "Listen, we'll only give you millions of dollars to be on this show, but you got to lose weight and get into shape and do all that stuff," I would do 100% do it. At least make my best effort to. You know what I mean? I would make a heck of an effort to do that.
Hmm.
But that's just me. I don't know who would want me on their show. I, I wouldn't recommend that they cast me for anything, but yeah.
Oh, come on, Price.
I was
You would want the role.
I was once in a short movie, in a short film that even somebody sent to like festivals and stuff. Uh, Probably 3 people saw it. I don't know if you know that. Did I tell you that ever?
I think you've told me about that, yeah.
No, I think I told you that I had a movie that I directed that was in a few festivals, and that's true. But more funny than that, there's actually one movie. It's a guy who actually was in a few TV series. Uh, Without getting into any detail, he was on something on HBO. He was on some like soap opera shows, and there were some courses that I took, and that guy was in this course. And he did sort of a short movie. It was like 30 minutes, something that he sent like to festivals and things, and he had an actor that was supposed to appear in a scene of his movie, and that actor last minute bailed on him, and he called me and he's like, man, I need a favor. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, can you come here and do this role in this like movie? And really, that wasn't really my thing, but this man was desperate. I mean, I'm sure when he called me, I probably wasn't the first person on his list, but camaraderie, you don't want your friends, we're sort of colleagues. I would know you don't want anybody to fail, and he probably figured he'll call me and maybe I'll make an effort and come immediately to be in his movie. So I ended up going to this movie, and I play a slippery guy. Play a shady and slippery man in a 30-minute movie that then went to festivals and stuff. And he's the star, by the way. Professor?
I see. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit of strange lore.
No, that's all right.
No, I didn't
Um,
star as Price of Reason. I was
yeah.
actually myself, but thankfully that I can't find that movie. I think I have a copy of it like on a DVD that was personally made for me. That is a movie that I can't find anywhere. The only place I can find it is actually it is on IMDb. Meaning if you go into IMDb and you look into that person's resume and all that stuff, you'll find the movie. It does exist, but good luck trying to find it anywhere. So, just for those who aren't keeping score, I directed a short movie that is nowhere to be found anywhere. Only I have it, and it was in some festivals. I was in a short movie that also you can't find it anywhere. All of those things are actually on IMDb, but nobody can find them anywhere. And yeah, though that's like the peak of my career. Oh, and I made music for a movie that was an indie movie that went through some festivals and until now has never been officially released. Like you can't stream it anywhere. I don't know how to get it. I don't think it's for sale anywhere. So this is it. This is I'm like the Big Lebowski of Hollywood. No, it's not Prawns, the dead man. At least
You heard it here. Price wrote the music for The Day the Clown Cried. Yeah.
uh, there was a movie now, Clown in the Field, something, right?
Yeah, The Day the Clown Cried is the famous one with
Prawn
Jerry
of
Lewis
Reason.
that's never been released.
Ah, and now somebody says that they had it recently. They're like, "Oh, like we have a secret
So
copy of
so
it."
he turned a copy of it over upon his death, I think, to somebody. Um, but he was never happy with it because it didn't turn out the way that he wanted, and of course it's a it's a miserable idea for a movie. So what it's about, right?
Isn't it something about a clown and like the WW2 camp situation with
It's a
M-
clown who
Mustache
gets
Man?
imprisoned by the Mustache Man and his people in an internment camp, and he has to cheer up children who are going to their deaths.
I
It's
see.
it's an astonishingly awful idea for a film.
You know, just out of curiosity, I'm curious to know what it is. The fact that he actually spent money and resources, and it was sort of a passion project for him. I am curious as to what he did in this movie, but I feel like if he decided that nobody should ever see this movie, there must have been a reason for it. I mean, he must have looked at it and said, "You know what? I don't want this released." And when you say that and you're so decisive about it, I tend to think that maybe he just didn't like how it came out, and maybe the movie isn't a good movie. Maybe we'll see it one day. It'll be good. It won't be good, but on the surface, it doesn't sound uh, good to me.
So it has been shown, but it's not in like wide release or anything. So my understanding is that he turned everything over to uh he turned everything, or not everything. He turned a bunch of his stuff over to the Library of Congress. However, there were stipulations, essentially like you can't this can't be seen until after I die. And so there was a screening of it afterwards, but it's not it's never going to really be released on any kind of home media or anything like that. And the Library of Congress has not announced any sort of plans to put it up for streaming or anything like that.
I see. Well, I mean, one day I'd be curious to see it if I ever got a chance.
Oh,
I would
I'd
watch it.
watch it. I'd watch it in a minute. I'm sure it's a disaster. I honestly think Jerry Lewis was actually a very good creator as far as understanding like what the audience wanted, and I think he was very in tune with his creations. I think he recognized this was bad. Like it was not something worthwhile, no matter how much time and effort he put into it. It was not something that he was happy with, and that's why he didn't want people to see it, right? So I'm something something tells me that he's right, and this is actually a really terrible film.
There's probably a good reason for it, and I
Yeah,
can't argue with him. But like I said, out of sheer curiosity, if it ever became available to the public, I would watch it.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how we got there. We started with Millie Gibson looking good in this photo. I don't know how we got to Mustache Man and Jerry Lewis,
I don't remember, but yeah. Anyway, yes, she does look fairly good in this
but
episode,
you
and
think
but
she took Ozempic? That disappoints me because
all the actors do now, all of
but the
them.
thing is that from what I understand, Ozempic makes your face look weird. So if it makes your
Not
face,
necessarily, not necessarily. It depends on how much, how much you're taking, how large of a dose. If you're doing all sorts of other stuff too. Like it's really the people that start to have like a weird looking face, are people who they've already lost plenty of weight and they keep increasing the dosage on it, and they're also doing lots of wild exercise and stuff like that. Like it doesn't necessarily make everyone look weird, but a lot of the actors, they're talking about, these are people that need to lose 5 pounds, and they take a drug that makes them lose 35 pounds, right? And so they start to look like skin and bones.
I mean, I want to lose 35 pounds. I'm tempted. I
Yeah.
actually know somebody, and he is an old friend of mine, kind of a quirky guy. And at some point, he called me. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing this Ozempic thing. You should do it. It's so great." But I don't know, man. I think that like they inject it into their like buttocks or something. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I thought happens, and that's already kind of
No,
weird for me.
no, you inject it into your stomach, or it's just like if you were taking any other kind of diabetes medication.
I don't know, man. Oh, maybe even injecting it into my stomach is weird. It's like, how long do I take it, and what happens? Isn't there like strange things that can happen?
Well, if you want to continue losing the weight, if you want to continue to take the weight off, you take it forever. So yeah, a lot of people have issues with it, and there's different. Obviously, there's different medications too. There's Ozempic, and then there's Manjaro, which is one that's specifically for diabetes. In fact, my wife takes Manjaro. She this past year she was uh, she's actually had blood sugar issues for a long, long time. And this last year, they told her like you're past the limit, right? You need to really start taking medications. So she did a bunch of research and started looking at what was best and which things were carried the least risk and whatever. So she ended up going with the Manjaro, which is another. It's a similar type of medication, but it's different. Works in a couple of different ways, and she's lost quite a bit of weight. And but she also, I mean, she's taking it for diabetes. She's not taking it, for vanity purposes or anything. But yeah, there's all sorts of things that, yeah, it's just like every medication. Like I was told by a doctor a long time ago that every time you think of, any medication that you take, there's a little poison in there, right? It can do all sorts of things to your body. So if you take too much, it can do all sorts of bad things. If you're allergic to it or respond differently to it, it can do all sorts of things to you. So yeah, there's the with all of these like Ozempic style drugs, there's an increased risk of certain types of cancers. When you say increased risk, it's not like wildly increased risk. Like increased risk is like 0.7% or something. But um, yeah, there's all kinds of different medications, and they're working on second and even third generation versions of these. Supposedly by the end of 2025, they're supposed to have essentially the pill version of Ozempic available on the market, and it'll cost significantly less than the injections. So, but yeah, if you want them to connect, because essentially the way you lose weight is that it just takes away your appetite.
I see.
You don't want to eat, and some people also find other things that uh, my wife specifically, she sugar is like gross to her now. Like she looks at something sugary and she's like, that's disgusting. I don't want to I don't want to eat that. Like not everything. She'll still have some chocolate here and there. But like and it also can change a whole bunch of other stuff. They've been actually looking at taking things like Ozempic and using them to treat all sorts of other medical problems, even psychiatric issues like addiction and addiction to gambling and all sorts of stuff, because it changes sort of the reward mechanism in your brain. So yeah, it's really strange what some of these medications can do. And yeah, there's a bunch of different changes that they're making to those in the near future too. So
Stephen Mack. Sharon Bourne has done Ozempic. Seen her recently? No. What does she look like? Sharon Osbourne. Wow, I put Sharon Osbourne. It already says Ozempic. So I guess that's a thing. Uh, yes, I understand what you're trying to say here. I'm going to share this picture, but I feel worried. I don't feel good about sharing this, but I'll share it anyways. Are you ready? Professor, are you ready? Are you there? Either I've disappeared or the professor has disappeared. Can you guys hear me? Can anybody hear me? Let's see. I feel like something happened to the professor and I'm not sure. If you guys in the chat can actually. Oh, here, you disappeared. So this is what I guess Sharon Osbourne looks like now, and it doesn't look so good. That's why that kind of, that whole Ozempic situation, I don't feel good about it. I mean, it sounds like a cool thing that you could just lose weight by injecting something, but if it's going to make you look weird, I don't really like it. By the way, I saw Elizabeth Quince here and I was happy to see her. And I wanted to. She made a comment before and I kind of missed it. I'm trying to find it. My Korean girlfriend's comment on my weight up or down all the time. Why live to 1,000? Why live to 1,000? Not sure what that means. But I guess maybe in Korean culture it's more customary to talk about people's weight. I don't know. Jeanette says, "Yep, you're here, Price. Professor is gone. He is gone. I don't know what happened to him. Could be maybe he has some storms where he's at. Maybe the internet went out. Maybe he had to reset his computer." But Alyssa Marie says, "Well, she had a lot of plastic surgery too." And yes, she absolutely did. She had a lot of plastic surgery to begin with, more than she needed, but I don't want to be mean. You know what I mean? When I look at that left picture, there's things that pop into my mind. I want to say them, but I feel like somehow I'm a terrible person if I say what I say. But that left picture doesn't look good. It's not just that she got older or something like that. It looks like this thing isn't affecting her in a positive way, in my opinion, at least. Her plastic surgery was an improvement in was it improvement or impairment? Oh well. In any case, uh, what was I gonna say? We looked at Sharon Osbourne. Let's try to cleanse our palate. Who could we look at that looks nice? Uh, let's find something that I think is nicer. Okay, I'm gonna surprise you all with something that hopefully will, you know, cheer us up a little bit. Are you guys ready? I am worried about the professor. I don't know what happened to him, but here I put Jessica Alba from the Fantastic Four on the screen. Personally, this was a lot nicer to me than what's going on with the Fantastic Four now. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a lot of talk about what's going on with Fantastic Four. Supposedly, this movie was supposed to be a big deal for Disney. Was supposed to sort of bring the crowd back and bring the MCU back, and they've done every stupid thing that they could with this production. For starters, they hired Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, which is already a mistake. Pedro Pascal, he's in every movie, and I always say it. He's an okay character actor. He's been good in a few roles that I've seen him. He's not the type of guy that like I would put to like bring people into seats. He's not that kind of actor, in my opinion. I don't think he's also a good casting for Reed Richards, and I think it's embarrassing that they even cast him there. Vanessa Kirby, who basically I don't think she's better than Jessica Alba. Now, some people will say, "Hey, Jessica Alba is not the best actress in the world," and you know what? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I don't care. I think she was good in this role. I was convinced that she was good in this role, and that's really all that matters. I felt good about her in this role. Now, you could say that the reason I felt good about her was you know, had not only to do with her acting, and if you accused me of that, then you'd be right. I think that Jessica Alba did a fantastic job in Fantastic Four. She was pretty before. Jessica Alba, I would say that she's pretty now as well. I see the professor is trying to make a comeback here, which is fine, but I suspect that he's going to show up exactly in the strategic location that may not be so good. He's going to be covering something that we don't want him to cover. But I still rather would have him back if he can find a way to. Here, he covered it. The-
Look, I'm not here to be a cosmic killjoy, okay? I'm sorry I covered Jessica Alba's lovely bosom. It's lovely. It really is. I definitely, ones in the chat for Jessica Alba. She is hot as hell. Did you see her in Sin City?
Sin City. She talk about giving a good acting performance. Sin City, Jessica Alba. That's like
Sweet
Academy Award
heaven.
material. Academy Award material in that movie. Let's see.
Gorgeous woman.
She really did good in that one. I'm trying to see if I can. I want to share with everybody what I think about that. Okay. So, are you ready, Professor?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. This is very important stuff that the professor and I are now going over.
Did you finish your discussion of Doctor Who?
I think I did. I think it doesn't even matter. That show is just terrible. Well,
Yeah.
you know what?
It's a
We will say
disaster.
one thing about it, but so this is Jessica Alba in Sin City, and you know, I don't know if you're all aware of this, but basically, she uh, she went to the director, to Robert Rodriguez, not Robert, to Frank Miller, sorry, and why did I think Robert Rodriguez had something to do with her? I don't
I
know
don't
why.
remember.
Anyhow, I don't think he's ever worked with her. No, this was a Frank Miller directed it, right? He wrote it and directed it. Am I
Believe
right?
so. Believe so.
So basically, I from what I remember, this is vaguely what I remember. She wanted to kind of set up choreography in advance so that she could be ready for the role. But if I remember correctly, they kind of told her that they didn't want her to choreograph, that they wanted it to be like more spontaneous. So a lot of the dancing she does in the movie is kind of very spontaneous. And you know what? I think that she did a very, very good job. So I think she acted her pants off in this movie. That's my
Both
personal opinion.
figuratively and literally.
Yes.
Yes.
You think about it today. When do you even see a movie now where a woman, looks good and does stuff like this and knows she looks good? We don't even see that anymore. The only person that you have now working that kind of knows that people like her is maybe Sydney Sweeney, but even as much as like I like Sydney Sweeney, don't get me wrong, I like her, but I still feel like Jessica Alba had an overall you know vibe that I liked even more at the time.
Yeah. And now Sydney Sweeney's getting it on the grift with her soap, her
That was so
bathwater
weird. That
soap.
was bathwater soap. Well, you know what? We'll get to that in a second. But quickly, I just want to say, so basically, Doctor Who. For those who don't know, at the end, when an actor leaves, the Doctor regenerates basically into somebody else. That's the way throughout the years of keeping continuity, but having different actors play the same Doctors. He turns into that next person that's portraying him. That's sort of the thing that's been around since 1963. So at the end of this episode with Shurigatwa, they had Billy Piper, who was once a companion to David Tennant's Doctor, between 2005 and like 2007 or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
And
And
they
to
brought,
and to Christopher Eccleston's Doctor as well.
right, and through Christopher Eccleston's. Christopher Eccleston, very underrated in my opinion. I really like the job that he did.
He did a great job. He really did.
He did. I think that people don't appreciate the reason why. Also, it's important what Christopher Eccleston did is because if you didn't believe that he was the Doctor in that revival, then there wouldn't be a Doctor. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then the thing would have just fallen off a cliff. You really needed somebody to sell it, and I think that Christopher Eccleston in his season did really well. I would have liked to have seen more of him personally, but
Yeah.
it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, he came to, it all came to a head between him and the producers and, the writers and everything, and, that's why he left after the 1 season. He had had quite enough of them, and he's been very clear about that in numerous occasions when he's been asked about it. He said at cons, "Fire all the people who are in charge of Doctor Who at the BBC. Fire every last one of them, and I'll think about it." So
Right. I remember he did
that's
that.
why he was not part of that 50th anniversary episode. He was not part of any other team up episode. He said, "I will have nothing to do with it."
Yeah, and I don't blame him. You know what? He held his ground, and I can't blame him for it. So this is Billy Piper, and yeah, I mean, in these articles now, there's leakers and people saying, and they're like, "Oh, they just pasted her face later in some way." Of course they did. It looked so cheap. It
Oh, it
looked
looks terrible.
so terrible. it was like I was telling people that it looked like something that Russell T Davies, like the effect he did it on his phone. That's how bad it looked. It looked like a last minute thing, like 5 minutes before airing. They like pasted her face there and just like, ah, fuck it. Sorry, Sean. So yeah, yeah. I mean, Billie Piper herself maybe have gotten some work. There's something strange about her. Well, I know people get older, but I don't know, sometimes maybe these actors do work that they don't necessarily need to do, but that is my personal opinion. I don't really know. Just kind of looks weird here, but yeah. The funny thing is that I actually I was on a few streams, maybe one of them was with you, but with some other people I think also, and I mentioned that based on my instinct, I think that Billy Piper basically did this as a favor to Russell T Davies. Basically, it was probably something last minute. It was kind of like a Hail Mary's pass, and he didn't know what to do. And because he discovered her sort of in terms of acting, and she owes him something, he just said, "Hey, I'm calling in a favor. Can you just film this stupid thing? We need to end this, and this will at least, maybe a few people will talk about it next to some water cooler." I don't even really think that he thought much of what he's doing here. I don't know. I don't know if there's a real concrete plan or this was just a last minute desperate attempt to do something rather than just having Shooty disappear, which is what it was before this last minute arrangement.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I think they were gonna fade to white or whatever at the end, and that was gonna
right,
be, and then they were gonna see what they could get back. The rumor is that they brought in Billy Piper with this, so their big smiley face and a white woman. Hey, they brought her in to see if they could use that to tempt Disney into a new season. And I don't think it's gonna happen.
there there's one thing that kind of bothered me. I know I'm not throwing this person under a bus, but there's one thing that kind of annoyed me if I, have to be honest. You have this guy here, Star Hoovian. I've recently seen some posts of his, and he wrote like breaking. The BBC are worried about how they're going to continue Doctor Who. Billie Piper filmed her scene only a few weeks ago as a favor to RTD, who wanted a regeneration cliffhanger as a last-ditch attempt to convince Disney to extend their partnership. Now, basically, I'm not suggesting that he took what I said on a stream already like 5 days ago and copied it word for word. It could be that somebody else said it, but this is speculative. The same way that I speculated, he's speculating. And when I said that it was my opinion, that it wasn't that it's not breaking news, it's speculative. I speculated that this was the case. Him writing breaking, suggests that he has like concrete information and
Yeah, oh yeah.
not not trying to throw the guy under the bus, but I wouldn't necessarily say he has concrete information. I feel like if he would have just written like I think that this is what happened, I would have been fine with it. But when you write breaking and making it like official as if there's sources, when I don't know. Not I don't know if he heard me on a stream say it or he read or somebody else speculated and he heard that. It's not rocket science to think that this is the case. It's just kind of strange that after like I was talking about this with a number of people that are sort of active in, Doctor Who communities, this post popped up and you see all these people like quoting it like, "Oh, look," as if it's like some news item. This this isn't really like a news item, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
don't mean to throw. Maybe he's a really nice guy, this guy, and maybe he does a lot of great reporting. In this case, though, I have to kind of push back on it. So sorry, Mister Starhoovian, but that's what I think. Anyhow, that was me being salty and annoyed. Sorry, Professor. I don't know what's happening to me today.
No, no. Yeah, no, this Doctor Who thing, it's, eh, several people have said it, and I think you said it yourself, Price. This show, Doctor Who, this was the original fandom. Before Star Trek, before Star Wars, before Babylon 5, before
True,
any of these other things, there was Doctor Who. People
absolutely.
so in love with this show. It's an institution in Britain, and it has been for decades, even when the show was off the air after it previously, in the late 80s when the shows really started petering out and the writing was getting poorer and their budgets just weren't there and the viewership was not there, and so the show ended up going on hiatus for what, 15 years? Well, until they did the weird TV movie that they did, and then a few more years after that before it got picked up as a TV show.
I'd take
Like
that TV movie over Shooty Gatwa, let me tell you
any
something.
any minute. I would take that in a minute, yeah. But uh,
The
you
only
know,
thing in the TV show is that I think they tried to suggest he was half human, and I think that
yes,
to
they
treat
did,
Kiss
yeah.
as a woman. I don't really understand a few of the decisions there. I don't know how they even try to explain them within canon. Like, how does anybody explain
It
why he said he
it
was half human,
it
and why
doesn't
does he
make
kiss that
any
lady?
it doesn't make any sense in canon at all. Cause yeah, he has a romantic interest, and then and the master has powers that we've never seen the master have powers before. And how is the master back? And there's all sorts of stuff that makes no sense
But you
whatsoever
know what? It's
in the
still
actual
considered.
canon of the show.
But people consider that movie canon. It's
Yeah, they
considered
do.
part of the
They
lore.
do.
It's not one of those that like it's not like the Peter Cushing movies. Uh,
No, 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 not at all.
People consider
The
Paul
Dalek movies.
McGann's Doctor movie. He is a doctor. He when people talk about the 12 doctors, because that's all there's been until today. When people talk about those 12 doctors, he is one of the doctors, right?
Yes, yeah, they do. They consider him to be one of the regular doctors, and what is his name?
Paul McGann.
Yes, Paul McGann. Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what? Paul McGann, I think, should have been given more than he was given. I really would have liked to have seen him get more. He deserved something. He was actually. I don't have. I'm fond of him. I like him. I feel like he did the best with the material he was given, but I don't think he was bad. I just think that they didn't give him good material.
yeah, yeah. That movie was rough, but I enjoyed him in the part. I thought he had fun with it, and then it's interesting that they did bring him into the canon, later on, and I do know that he's done a whole bunch of the audiobooks, the Big Finish productions. He's done a bunch of those
Very
as
popular.
as the night as the
His
doctor, yeah.
audiobooks. I'm not a huge audiobook guy, but I
Yeah.
have friends that are huge like into the audiobooks and he's considered really good. Big in on socialist media. Good evening. I was busy working and forgot the show started a long time ago. That's okay. You know,
You're here now, and we're glad to
you're
see you.
here now and we're happy to see you. That's the way it is. Uh in any case, hold
Goodbye,
on.
doctor. Goodbye.
Caleb Levine, goodbye doctor. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying to wrap things up. Goodbye, doctor.
Yeah, oh okay,
Nice
I
to know
got you.
you.
Caleb Levine, the more this stupid show gets talked about, the more likely we'll give it another season. Stop talking
No,
about Crope Shot.
you're right.
Okay,
You're
Caleb
right.
Levine. Listen, I don't think that's the case here. This is like an acolyte situation. This is it. Like anybody that's going to throw money at this show is an idiot at this point in this variation of it. Unless there's like this show needs to be taken off for like 5-10 years, and you need a different creative team to do something, and maybe there's something you can do. But the way it is right now with Russell T Davies needs to be removed from the show. Like they got to stop all this crap. They probably won't, but that's what they have to do. And yeah, so what I was a bit salty, and I talked about the guy. I we summed up here that this was a stupid idea, and we meandered around. Now I want to talk to you all about a movie that I saw. I saw a movie that
Oh,
hasn't come
yes.
out yet. It comes out this weekend. Are you with me, Professor?
I'm here.
So this movie is called The Life of Chuck. Let me try to find some kind of
Chuck.
graphic that I can put here, as I like to do. I just have to close all these weird photos of Sharon Osbourne. The Life of Chuck. I don't know if you were here when I was looking at current photos of Sharon Osbourne.
No. My I texted you. My internet just turned off.
I think the internet saw those pictures of Sharon Osbourne and collapsed.
My
But
internet said no. I'm not
Like
gonna show you these horrifying pictures of Sharon
the,
Osbourne.
Sharon Osbourne. That's where your internet draws the line. Like Sharon Osbourne after Ozempic,
So
that's
it's
it.
trying
That's
it
all
was
she wrote.
it's trying to protect me.
So basically, this is a movie, and let me tell you something. I had a chance to watch like an earlier screening of it or something like that in a theater in my area, and I got an email, uh, and it said basically it's a movie with what's his face, Tom Hiddleston, who
Yeah.
plays Loki, and I like that actor. It has Karen Gillan in it, also an actress that I like, Doctor
Yeah.
Who, and I like her as Nebula. So all of these things were good for me. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I like Tom Hiddleston too. So I said to myself, well, this is pretty cool. And the way that it was described when I was reading about it, it's a science fiction movie. It has Tom Hiddleston. It has Karen Gillan. It has, I'm probably not saying his name correctly, but Chiwetel Ejiofor, something like that. Uh, Probably I said his name like the opposite of how you say it, but that's what I think his name is. Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's what I'm going
Yeah.
to go for. He's also a
Chiwetel Ejiofor, I believe is how you pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced elsewhere.
I'm going to go with Chiwetel Ejiofor. I could be wrong, but I'm sticking to it. In any case, maybe we're both right. So that guy's in the movie. He's a pretty good actor. And then, surprisingly, you have Mark Hamill in the movie. Now, for me, Mark Hamill these days, I don't really, go out of my way to find movies where he's in because he's just so annoying. But with that being said, it's not a reason for me not to see the movie. It's a sci-fi movie, and I went to see it, and I came with a lot of expectations. It's based on a story by Stephen King, and I was really, really, I don't want to say excited, but I had some. I was cautiously optimistic that this could be a pretty cool movie. And then I went and I saw the movie. And I see that they're giving 88% here, and that's very nice. Those are very, very high scores. I personally would not give this movie an 88 because Dude Bro Seth said boring. This movie or me or both? I don't know. I
The
don't know
movie.
what Dude Bro Seth is saying. I don't know if he's saying that
Oh, the movie.
the movie is boring.
He's guessing the movie is boring, I think.
Oh, okay. So what happened was this: is that basically I went to see it, and I had such high expectations, and basically the first hour of the movie is, and you're right, dude, bro, Seth, is extremely boring. It kind of just annoyed me, just it just annoyed me that first hour. Now, one of the problems is that this movie is based on a short story by Stephen King. And I think that as a short story, there was an idea here that was pretty cool. But if you adapted it into the movie, you should have done things differently. First of all, the movie is sort of supposedly in reverse. You're watching Act Two, Act Three, Act Two, and then Act One. Act Three basically is some surreal situation that's like almost human race is on the verge of an apocalypse, something like that. But it's the dumbest version of that you've seen. It's like you have people walking around and they're like, "There's no more internet," but then they pull out their cell phones and call each other, and it's like if the technology doesn't exist anymore, like everything's been wiped out, all the systems where the internet isn't running anymore. I feel like probably your phones aren't going to run either. It's kind of strange that the phones would work, but your internet is not working. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, not today's tech. No.
Right. So that doesn't make sense at all. Then you have a situation where, like, somebody they're implying that the things that you're watching it has something to do with like global warming and things like that, which is already annoying. And then there's this one guy is like talking about how right wingers don't believe in global warming. The whole thing was just annoying me, and it was going nowhere, and it seemed to last. I really wanted to go to sleep within like somewhere in the first hour. And then what they do is they jump like back in time to like what's act two. That one is a little more interesting. You see Tom Hiddleston like kind of doing this dancing with this lady. It's a little more interesting, but even that part, you're like, what is this movie? And then there's like the final 40 minutes of the movie, which is going back to like something that happened in the 80s. The last 40 minutes of this movie, surprisingly, are actually pretty good. And I think that the problem is that whoever adapted, it's a guy named like Mark Flanagan or whatever his name is. I think that he mishandled this source material. What he needed to do is he needed to do that whole surreal apocalyptic thing, 15 minutes of the movie, then jump it back into time and give something of that, like, that act 2, whatever he called, and then most of the movie make it that 80s, make it that 80s with that kid. It's a child actor that I thought like did there's actually two child actors, think that they did a decent job, surprisingly decent. There's a little bit of a coming of age thing, there's a little bit of mystical, and I'll even say, and I can't believe I'm going to say that, Mark Hamill, I he gave, in my opinion, a very, very decent performance in his portion, which he appears in that final 40 minutes. He's not the main character; he's like a supporting character. But maybe that's some of the better acting I've seen from Mark Hamill in many years. I thought that actually he plays, maybe because it works, so he's like this grumpy old man. Maybe that's why it works. But you even forget it's Hamill. He gives like actually gives an acting performance, and they made him look a little different.
Oh,
And,
alright.
and as much as like he's annoying on social media and all this other stuff, I thought that he was rather good in this movie. Uh, just a shame that this final 40 minutes, you could tell that this movie had a lot of potential, but I can't let it slide that, let's say, like half the movie is a complete and utter snooze. You can't just put people to sleep in a movie theater for like half your movie and then suddenly wake them up and have a good movie. I don't believe in that. And I'm sure that these critics that gave it an 88%, it went to festivals. They're probably saying, oh, it's so artsy. They're like life affirming. It's genre bending story with 3 chapters. And they're all going to, I'm curious, probably I'm going to look at these reviews and they're going to be like the biggest artsy fartsy reviews. Let's see
Oh,
what
of
they
course,
write.
I'm sure they are.
Uh, let's see. Oh, here's the like this one. Uh, There are sufficiently fun and uplifting moments in the life of Chuck to negate the early scenes of the apparent end of the world. This is really a movie that demands to be seen more than once. I will give this guy one thing. If you actually read the short story, which I didn't, maybe you would have approached it like with a more positive approach. But this guy is just dancing around the real issue. You needed to make that end of the world thing short. The amount of time they spent on that nonsense is dumb. And when you watch the whole movie, you realize how much of your time was just wasted on them like jerking off. Sorry, Sean. And then Carla Hay, The Life of Chuck is a unique philosophical drama that shows gloom, doom, hope, and love via a biography of main character Charles Chuck Krantz. Tom Hiddleston is not in most of the movie. Benjamin Pajak gives a breakout performance. That's another thing that really only in the second act and a bit of the third act, like, for things that are jumping around in time a bit, like the chronologically, you see Tom Hiddleston. He's fine in it, but this is really not a Tom Hiddleston movie. Uh, Whoever plays the kid that I assume where she wrote Benjamin Pajak, whoever plays one of the kids gave, in my opinion, a very good performance. Oddly, that little kid like holds this movie together in that third act. He gives the only thing that's worthy of like looking at. One of King's deepest and most philosophical concepts, Flanagan continues to be the true master at bringing King to the screen. No, no, he doesn't. He's not the master. The Life of Chuck is one of those rare things, a film that wraps you up in its slowly unfurling spell and tells you it's all okay. That might be shocking to hear from two masters of horror stories, but as the film keeps telling us, we contain multitudes. All nonsense. I reject all of this crap. That you can't make a first hour that's a snooze and then sell me these dumb ideas. The Life of Chuck is a deceptively epic character study, an opera without singing. Oh, shut up. Though there's a plenty of dancing. It is even, I reckon, a masterpiece. No, not a masterpiece. It's the opposite of masterpiece. Mike Flanagan has me for life. Why? This is a man with something to say, and furthermore, he's a man who believes there are people out there, not yet worn away by the cynicism of the world, who still might be able to hear him. What a bunch of nonsense. Oh, for a feature I've had a difficult time providing a plain and simple description of, The Life of Chuck has a way of grasping onto the viewer and showing them something profound. I don't know what movie these guys were watching. All I can say is that this was billed as like a spooky sci-fi movie, okay? It had actors that I like in it. It had all the everything on paper was like something that's right for me. I was the target audience, and I went here, and I think that this is an artsy fartsy movie. Now, I'll say it, because of the final part of it and some concepts that I liked of it, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if I'd give it a failing grade, but like if I had to give it a grade, like, and anything below a 60 is like a failing grade, I would probably give it a 60. And those 60 points are going to like that kid and that later portion of the movie. That's mainly the reason this movie is getting points. Those other things that happened before, even if somebody says, hey, it's so bad I have to fail it, I would agree. I could accept that as well. It's really a borderline one. So that's what I think. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know. Those critics are just such farts. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like they all conspired to say that this is some kind of like masterpiece. I don't see it that way. If I'm bored, I am telling you, Professor, I almost fell asleep. There was like a moment, and I had to fight myself. I'm like, stop! You can't sleep because you have to watch the whole thing. Like, there's nothing that annoys me more than falling asleep in a movie. Like, especially if you're in the theater watching it, and it's like an early screening. It's not
Mhm.
like I even get another chance. I'll go see it again if I really care. I can't even. The whole idea of seeing it early is that I don't sleep in it. Uh, That's all I can say. And I'll put it this way, probably the first hour of the movie that you're watching, it's so they're not explaining it, but in my opinion, it's so irrelevant that if I just deleted it and showed you the final 40 minutes and said this is the movie, you may say, "Oh, I kind of like this 40 minutes. This is a cool idea. It's a nice short movie." That's what I have to say about The Life
There
of
you
Chuck.
go.
So if you guys, want my my thoughts on it, it's not an 88. It's not a masterpiece. It's a movie that has a portion of it that I like, some interesting concepts, but the execution for me, especially the first act and maybe the first hour of the movie, is very, very problematic. And not that it's philosophical and captures your soul, but more that it puts you to sleep. And that's what I have to say.
It puts you to sleep.
Bold plan, Cotton. Uh,
Some people may love a movie that puts them to sleep. That could be
B-roll
right
stage.
up their alley.
Grace Randolph, I Can Fix Her. Is that Adam Gray?
Yes, that's they were streaming. They've been working on doing some streaming from Rumble Studios so that they can potentially apply for the partner program. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
they've been streaming over here on Rumble this evening. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Oh, yes. Sorry about my rant on this movie, but I had to give you my review, and that was my review.
Rant view, the
So,
rant
when
view.
somebody's asking we contain multitudes, basically there's a character that tells another character in this movie that in his whole mind there's like a whole universe that exists within his mind. And then somebody tells him, oh, we contain multitudes, and they're all in your head. And supposedly it connects the different acts together. This concept is later applied if you think about the whole movie and how one thing led to another. Personally, I feel like it's a movie that thinks it's more sophisticated than it is. I will say that probably in the short story it was better, even though I didn't read it. And if you would have taken this movie and, like I said, spent maybe like instead of an hour on the end of the world and that other dancing thing with Tom Hiddleston, maybe given like 15 minutes and 10 minutes, and then given like the majority of the movie to the part in the 80s, really building upon that, you may have had a pretty decent movie. But that's what it means.
Yeah.
Uh, Still sounds like possession. It is, and yeah, I will admit that Mark Hamill was good in the movie, as much as that's hard for me to do. So that was The Life of Chuck.
The Life of Chuck.
What else were we going to talk?
We do. I think we've got a couple of super chats we need to get back to. Price
Oh, okay,
over on YouTube.
that's cool.
I'm having issues with YouTube myself.
I just lost a subscriber on YouTube.
Oh well.
I always wonder where that subscriber went. I don't know if that ever happens to anybody.
They said I do not agree with your review
Yeah,
on the
I
Life of
always think
Chuck.
that. I always thought like, how dare he say that about Life of Chuck? And then, yeah, I see that here. I'll try to share it. So I don't know if you could see it, but
Yes.
there is. First of all, we know that the dead man sent 5 Price of Reason live gift memberships, was extremely kind of him. He then gave $10. Oh, I have to like this. $10 on this. And he said, Price, thanks for letting me promote my channel. Last time, shameless plug, tomorrow night. I already shared this link. You guys got to watch his show. It's we put the link. We'll put it again before the end. The dead man says for $2, if you really want to lose weight, move to China. Do people lose weight there? A lot of people lost weight when the mustache man was around. Yes, unfortunately, that is true.
Yes, that is true.
I think that losing weight should be something, under better circumstances. If you're sort of forced to lose
Yeah.
weight, that's
Yeah.
usually not a good way to do it. But yes, that is true. Why in China is there a shortage of food or something? I ask seriously. I haven't been to
In
China.
in some places. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I haven't been to China either, so I don't know.
I want to go to China on one hand, just out of curiosity, but I haven't really had a chance. But the dead man, thank you for the super chats and for your insight about people losing weight in difficult circumstances. uh, and on that very positive note, let's. What were we talking about, Professor?
Well, there was Jessica Alba's figure. No, that was earlier. Sorry.
That was earlier.
Yeah.
Listen. The truth is, I saw the picture and I thought to myself, I like this palate cleanser.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will
I think
say that's sorry.
anytime we talk about Doctor Who, you need to put this on the screen
That's what I need to do.
from now
There's
on.
also somebody mentioned here in the chat that another great performance, really a star-making performance, was Selma Hayek in Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yes.
That was a very, very special performance. I dare say that, it really helped boost her career.
Oh, I think it did. Yeah.
Basically, I don't know how it was like for you, okay? But I can tell you that once that movie came out, I had friends that were like finding out what her name is. Like, I knew what her name was after this movie only because she was in this movie. Because of that one scene. Do you understand?
Oh yes.
And I think most men went through that process. It's like after that movie, they knew who she was. So, yeah, she did a good job in that production. And now, maybe I'll share that one. Can you see it?
Oh my.
This is Salma Hayek in Dusk Till Dawn. It's a star-making performance. It's just she just nailed it. She knew exactly what she needed to do in the role, and she went out and she did it. And I don't know. I feel like she did a fantastic job. Today she's married to some billionaire. Maybe he saw the movie.
Imagine that.
Maybe he saw that movie too. Right. So, what were we talking about?
Let's see. I think the last subject you had up there was was something about Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yes, I did bring that up. The reason she's distracting me, Salma Hayek, to be honest.
It's difficult to concentrate.
Difficult to
Admittedly, yeah.
concentrate. The reason why I was talking about Assassin's Creed Shadow is that I think that there's less and less people. You know how there's like live, how many live are playing it now?
Oh, yes, yes.
And I think that the numbers keep going down. I just saw it kind of being talked about today throughout the day. So I'm wondering, is there and you usually know this stuff better. That's the one where they brought Yasuke, the
Yes.
black samurai, and all of that. That whole show, pardon my French, Sean, was a shit show. And Ubisoft really needed to make money on that game. They made so many stupid mistakes. And the question is, how bad is it now? Like, is anybody there acknowledging? Do they acknowledge how big of a failure this is? I mean, these numbers, based on what I was looking online, and again, I'm not a huge gamer, but even I can understand that the type of numbers that were being discussed today is like an embarrassment.
Yeah, at this point, the Steam DB is only got about 1,700 people in game. Uh,
Wow,
so I don't know what the peak. Let's see.
that
Looking at
sounds awful.
charts here. Um, yeah, that's right now. Let's see if we look at 1 week. Yeah, I mean the numbers continue to drop week after week. A few weeks ago, peak player count would have been in the 7,000 range. Now we're talking about the highest number in the past week or so has been about 5,000 in game. But yeah, right now it's even lower than that. It's drifted off significantly, and they're doing some weird stuff too. I have read they're going to be adding some things to the game, kind of trying to improve the different obviously you can change into different outfits and stuff like that. It's all stupid stuff that they add to the games after the fact, and they're gonna have that, as well as they're gonna be adding something in there that has to do with what did I hear? Uh, has to Let's see if I can find it.
Professor.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I got it. I got it. All right. So, yeah, this was something else that was. Oh, you'll have to switch to my screen.
Oh, okay. Hold
Yeah,
on. I just want to see. There was Little Known from Dusk Till Dawn game. I had Michelle Rodriguez had a supporting role. I did
yeah,
not know that.
yeah. There was a game. Yeah, so there's going to be some collaborations that are happening inside the game. So, two exciting additions for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Exciting, try not to get too excited, Price, at these things. Um, For players who do not pre-order the game, the Throne to the Dogs quest will now be unlocked. So, for the majority of players, because almost nobody pre-ordered this garbage, they'll now be able to play that. And then there's going to be some other quests that are open. Then it says there's going to be a Dead by Daylight event, so they're tying it into a different video game, and a Balatro trinket that are available in game. Have you heard of Balatro, Price? That's one that a lot of people have been playing.
I see. So they're
That's
basically trying to maneuver people to pay attention to this.
Yes, yeah, trying to. Oh, there's some new things. There's new things. There's a new event that has to do with Dead by Daylight, and there's new trinkets, and they're going to improve the parkour because it was embarrassingly bad, from the start. So, they're going to improve that, and then there's a new vertical jump. Did you know that you couldn't jump vertically before?
I did not know that. But what I'll say is this all looks very desperate to me. Do you think that this really moves the needle for people that are like, we don't want
Not
to?
even a little. Not even a little.
It's sorry, go on.
No, they're desperate for anything that they can do. They're adding a photo mode, anything they can do to try and keep people playing this, but this isn't going to bring in new people. They've sold what they're going to sell, and I don't think anybody actually cares one bit. So yeah, it's kind of pathetic. Ubisoft is still in the toilet. They're still in bad shape. So yeah, I don't think this is going to do much to save them. Right?
Yeah,
And
I
back
don't
to
think
Selma
so.
Hayek.
Right, it is Selma Hayek. Very distracting Selma Hayek, but at the same time, I'm having trouble removing her. B-roll
Yeah.
stage, George Clooney was fine. Quentin Tarantino needs to stay behind the camera. You know, I'm going to give you something. I'm not a big fan of George Clooney or even his acting, but I'll say that in Dust Till Dawn, I thought that that was one of his better roles. I'll give you that. That I think that he was okay. I still think that every movie, for the most part, he kind of just plays George Clooney. Some people say that the Coen brothers managed to get a little more out of him. Maybe they do, but I don't really, I think he's overrated, George Clooney. Not only because he's overly political and annoying. Before he was overly political and annoying, I thought to myself, he's overrated, but at least, like, he doesn't overly annoy me. But now I think he's overrated and annoys me. So make of that what you will. And then Quentin
Yeah, he's not
Tarantino.
my favorite.
No, but even before all of that, he was never my favorite actor. I'm saying that honestly. I thought that there were a few movies. I thought that like Dust Till Dawn was okay. Maybe Oh Brother were out there because like he was working with the Coen Brothers and they
Oh
did
yeah,
get
he had an enjoyable performance in that.
had an enjoyable performance in that. There was Dust Till Dawn and maybe Up in the Air. When it comes to the ocean movies, we were like, what about the ocean movies? The ocean movies, you know what? He was surrounded by an ensemble cast. He did the Clooney thing that he does. It's okay. It's not like movies that I sit around and watch 70 times and like I have such great thoughts about. He's serviceable enough, you know what I mean, as an actor, but he's not anything spectacular either. And Quentin Tarantino, yeah, he's probably better behind the camera than as an actor on screen. But at the same time, in Dusk Till Dawn, as kind of the weirdo brother, I think he did all right. I don't think it was fine. I guess for
Mhm.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think he's good in Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino. I think he's pretty good in there. I feel like this is just my thoughts, and I could be wrong. Quentin Tarantino, when he plays a role, it's probably a role that he couldn't find somebody that quite understands the voice of the character, and he feels like he'll be able to somehow do that better because he couldn't find the right person for it. I really feel like that probably is a reason why you see him on screens here like once in a blue moon. He doesn't shove himself in his movies every second though. It's not like I don't think it's done gratuitously or something like that. B-roll stage says he peaked at Ocean's 11 and Oh Brother. Probably. Oh brother, I said that Dust Till Dawn, Ocean's 11, maybe Up in the Air. These are fine. It's okay. Good Luck and Good Night stands out. That one already, I just didn't even care about. I thought that was dumb. Yeah, I think he directed it. I thought that one was overrated. That's me personally. It was like it was a bit of like a preachy, annoying something about that movie didn't rub me the right way. Phantom Muck says he did peak on 11. He did. Uh, what we I'm gonna. I feel like if I had between Selma Hayek and Jessica Alba, I feel like Selma Hayek is more distracting. I don't know how. Professor, what do you think?
Yeah, there's yeah, well in that particular scene, particular pose, she's definitely quite alluring. That's the whole trick to that scene with her. She's incredibly mysterious and sexy, and there's something very otherworldly about her, kind of in that scene. Uh, but
Uh,
but Jessica Alba still oh, incredible.
yes, Samsung asked, "Does Selma Hayek turn into a vampire?" And yes, I believe she does.
Hmm.
And Marla Shandoff likes Ocean's 11 and 13. For me, I remember liking Ocean's 11. 12 and 13 are something of a blur to me. I watched them. One of them had like Anthony Garcia in it, I think. I don't know now. It's all like jumbled in my mind. Was there one? Don't laugh at me, but was there one with Al Pacino in it?
I don't remember. I think Ocean's 11 is the only one I've seen.
I remember Anthony Garcia. He was in it. Andy Garcia, sorry, Andy Garcia. I'm crazy. It couldn't be that Al Pacino would be in Ocean's 11. No, he was in
He
Ocean's
was in
13. Yeah,
yeah, he
yeah,
was in
okay.
Ocean's 13. Yep.
I knew there was something going. I knew it.
He's the main
So
antagonist, it says.
the main antagonist. Okay, so yeah, Al Pacino. Listen, those movies were fine, but there's really I could barely remember. It's like the same movie over and over again. They're busting into the casino. There's some they need to steal some money. He has his crew. The same like shenanigans. Like it just I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like it's a complete. All of those movies are really rehashes of the previous movie, like of each other,
There's
and
gonna be another heist.
yeah,
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
it's like, but we'll never get back and Brydo's security. And he's like, well, that's why we need our team. And then there's like this cool music, like do 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 do, like all this like cool music. And as there's cool music, they're like fooling everybody. They're
Yep.
dressing up as like as delivery men and
Yeah.
going in and neutralizing the cameras. And then
And then there's the part where the plan goes awry
right,
and
like
someone's gotta improvise, and then you're all tense and, "Oh, but they make it," and then somebody says, "Oh, but this, such and such is going wrong," and then I say, "No, you leave that to me," and they go and take it. It's the exact same film every time.
every time, yeah, there's some suspense. It looks like it's not going to do it. They have like a guy who was like a little guy, and they like let him into like small spaces to do something, and like he comes through at the end. And I don't know, just honestly, like you could probably edit one, two, and three together into one movie, and I wouldn't even notice that it's not the same movie. If you know what I mean.
Yep. Yep.
Do, do,
My
do,
son
do,
said
do,
he wanted
do,
to see
do.
Ocean's 11. I told him he had to watch Ocean's 1 through 10 first.
They actually made a movie like Oceans. People don't remember this. They made, I think, Oceans 8, and it had a bunch of
It
ladies
was
in it.
all ladies, yes.
You
Ocean's
know,
8.
I'm gonna say something controversial. This is the most controversial thing that I've ever said on this channel. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So let me do this if I can. So this movie, this Ocean's 8 movie, I don't remember. I think I was with some people. What year did it come out? I feel like
2018.
it was just when they were starting the women girl boss or whatever it is. I saw this movie, and honestly, I didn't completely hate it. I saw it with some people in a movie theater. Maybe at the time I was also more forgiving because you didn't have all the girl boss movies or whatever it is. Now, like you put on a movie like that, I just roll my eyes. But I will say this: it had Sandra Bullock, who I think is she's a fun. She can do something like this that has to do with a bit of comedy, a caper like this. She was fun in the movie. So if nothing else, I think that Sandra Bullock gave a good acting performance. I actually think that Anne Hathaway was kind of fun in this movie as well. There were a few other actresses in there. Mainly, I guess what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily a good movie, but I think that the likable cast that's here, uh, there was Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, and Anne Hathaway, and
Yeah,
Helena
and
Bonham Carter. The
and then you had Mindy
Yes,
Kaling
yes.
and Aquafina.
Yes, okay, so it wasn't perfect, but here's and Sarah Paulson, if nothing else, is a good actress, but the thing is that Mindy Kaling wasn't like, in more in the center stage, you had, like, Sandra Bullock,
Oh,
Kate
sure. Yeah,
Blanchett,
yeah.
and Anne Hathaway. You really felt that it was their movie. Then maybe you saw, like, Helena Bonham Carter and Sarah Paulson doing some stuff really on the lower end of what you saw there that you could tell were more secondary, third-ary whatever characters was like Mindy Kaling and Aquafina. They were mainly for like little comic relief. In the small dosage you get them there, and they weren't overexposed. They were the way they were later and so annoying. So I wasn't especially looking out to get annoyed by their presence there. Probably today I would see it would annoy me. Rihanna at the time, like if nothing else, she looked nice, and she doesn't really do I don't think she harms the movie. You know what I mean? James
Yeah.
Corden certainly not an advantage to the movie. Dakota Fanning is fine. There's some decent performances here. I really think that especially Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, and Anne Hathaway make this movie like a more pleasant engagement. So while I admit that this isn't a great movie, I've never watched it again. I never went back to say like, "Oh, I got to watch this again." Never rewatched it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but I wouldn't say that I hated it when I watched it. Make of that what you will. Um, let's see. Adam's saying, "I hate it for you, Price, but Bullock is better than Roberts." Again, like I said, today a lot of times we get these kind of you want to call them woke movies or whatever you want to call them, these kind of girl boss movies. They don't always have good actresses. I think there was a little bit of comedy here, and some of, especially Sandra Bullock, I think she's good at stuff that's a little more light, and she brought that good balance to the role. I really think that her performance was strong. Kate Blanchett is a good actress. You like her or not, whatever you say, I think she's a good actress. And Anna Hathaway knows how to bring a little bit of humor to her roles as well. And you know, and her Anne Hathaway and Sandra Bullock in this movie do not look bad. You know what I mean? Like they look decent enough, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Call me a sucker for ladies that are kind of lighthearted and look nice. And I like I said, I didn't think that this was anything to write home about. It doesn't surprise me that they never made a sequel to this, but at the same time, like I said, I didn't go out like super angry out of the theater. How much did it make? I'm surprised they didn't make like 7 sequels to it. It must have not made money, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
Let's see. It will cost. You know what? I don't understand it. I feel like tomorrow they're going to do a sequel. It cost $70 million to make, and at the box office, it made 297.8 million.
Yeah, it did significantly well internationally. Did better than in the domestic. So yeah, it did really well.
I'm surprised that they didn't.
Four and a half, about 4.3 times the budget for production. Of course, you count other stuff in there too, like ads and so on. But yeah,
I mean,
did well
between
enough to make its money back.
most movies today, don't make anything. That actually for that movie was not a bad result, and it
You could
looked like
make
they.
you could make 2 episodes of Andor for that much money.
Uh, the thing is that basically it looked like what they were going to do is that they're going to try to tie that group of ladies with George Clooney and make a movie with all of them. Don't forget, maybe also the Couve came along. Maybe if the
Yeah,
Couve didn't come along, they would have tried to fast track that. But
yeah. Then
at
we're
the
gonna get
end,
Ocean's 22
what
something.
would they even called it? Called it because they can't call it Ocean's 9 because what are you going to call? Very confusing what they did. But yeah, some kind of like Ocean's All Stars where you have like the Sandra Bullock character and George Clooney and maybe a few of the characters here and there. There was probably a movie that they could have made. I have a feeling that if you didn't have the Couve, they probably would have made that movie. That's just my opinion, though.
Yep. But they couldn't fit them all on screen if they were all social distancing at once, so it didn't happen. And Price went nuclear. He'll be back. Yeah, I would not have gone to see another Ocean's film, even if it had come out. Like I said, have seen Ocean's 11. I've seen bits and pieces of some of the others, but it's just the whole thing. It's just so formulaic. It really doesn't do anything for me.
I think that there's a South Park that they once sort of made fun of it, where you have like something happening and then there's that like jazzy music in the background as they complete a heist. I really think that they did it once. I don't remember what it was. I think it had something to do with Obama and some election. Maybe I'm wrong. There was something with South Park, Obama, and Ocean's 11. I don't know why this is all
Uh,
like in my mind, but I could
let's
be wrong.
see. Let's see. What's the old AI telling me? The South Park episode titled "About Last Night" parodies Ocean 11 by depicting Barack Obama and John McCain as jewel thieves using the chaos of the 2008 presidential election to execute a heist. Yes.
I don't
So,
know
yeah.
why. Like the thing, forget about the politics of it. The part that was funny to me was like that they start playing the groovy music as
Yeah.
they're conducting the heist. Like South Park are really perceptive when they make fun of something, and I really feel like those little nuances of how they made fun of like the style and like the formulaic vibe of those movies, they really got that. They nailed that in their stupid episode.
And then, of course, they send up all of the whole heist genre in Rick and Morty as well.
Are you saying that in Rick and Morty they made fun of it, or that they made fun of Rick and Morty?
Oh, no, 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 there's a Rick and Morty episode that's all about the formulaicness of the heist episode or the heist movie
I
where everything that happens is all just it's completely formulaic to everything that happens in all of these heist movies. Yes.
well, I'll say this: the first few seasons of Rick and Morty, I think that I enjoyed it, but somehow after a few seasons, I guess just kind of got bored with it.
It
I
also got extremely formulaic, and
Right,
every episode
exactly.
was kind of the same thing over and over again. And there was also the fact that some of the there's a few different co-creators of the show. One of them was frequently drunk and wasted when he would show up on set. So,
So they've
show up to record lines or show up to the writing room and whatever. Justin Roiland is who I'm talking about.
right,
He's
and they ended up firing him because there was some lady that me too'd him or something,
well,
from
and
what I recall.
he was constantly coming in wasted. He couldn't be depended on to do anything. So yeah,
You know, all I know is that maybe he couldn't be depended on, but once you have to replace the guy doing your voices with another guy doing your voices, it kind of changes the vibe of it.
it did a
But
little bit. In some ways, though, I mean, honestly, if you had not told me that they changed the voices, they're really good. If nobody had known that they had changed who was doing the voices, I would have said, no, sounds, it was just an actor like getting older, or maybe, take a different take on a different day. Like the voices are really good.
well, I'll check it out sometime. But
Yeah, I mean, it's
how
still it's very much hit and miss at this point. The first 3, 4 seasons were really good.
that's what I
Uh,
liked. I
but
liked the
yeah,
first
later it sort of fell apart. Yeah.
first few seasons. I liked it, and I can't really tell you the exact moment, but there was a moment that I'm like, oh, like I don't know, that it just kind of lost my attention. It's fine. I mean, it's fine if people like it. I have nothing to say. Even the seasons that I liked, I thought that there were some good ideas there, but I know some people that like swear by this thing. It's like it's all right. It doesn't. If I had to think of like Rick and Morty versus like South Park, South Park for me is a much better show.
Yeah. Yeah.
South Park, the only comment that I have is like maybe the first 10 seasons, I feel like they gave it their all. They were like full on energy. Every episode, there was like a streak of so many episodes that are just as like a slam dunk one after the other. And these days, if I watch an episode of theirs, there will likely be a few moments in the episodes that will genuinely make me laugh for real, maybe even like a really good laugh. But I feel like this kind of laugh that I feel maybe once or twice an episode, back in the day, I'd feel it like throughout most of the episode.
Yeah.
If do you get what I'm trying to say,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Professor?
Hello.
Professor?
Hello. I think
I don't know if you can hear me.
hmm,
Professor?
I'm here.
Either Professor can't hear me or I can't hear myself. One or the other. I don't know what to say. Professor, can you hear me?
I can.
I can't hear him. Well, maybe the chat will be able to tell us who they hear. Do they hear me or do they hear the professor? Phantom Mug says I can hear you. Is that me, Price, or you can hear the professor? I'm gonna.
So they can both they can hear us both, but we can't hear.
Right. I can hear you now. I just heard what you
Okay.
said. So yeah, I think we're good now. But
Yeah, for a bit there, I could hear Price, but he couldn't hear me.
right. So basically, really, those first ten seasons of South Park were just such a slam dunk.
Oh yeah,
And
incredible. The writing is so sharp and on point. I can still go back and watch those, even old episodes, and just be blown away by just how just cutting the jabs are and the wit that's the way that things are written. It's amazing.
just brilliant. I mean, there's some classic episodes like I don't know. Maybe I wonder today if they'd make me laugh as hard, but like I remember seeing like an episode like Chimpokemon, and I was
Yeah.
laughing so hard. Like I don't know, those days I wasn't expecting it. When I pressed, when I pressed play, because that's how I'd watch those things. When I pressed play and watched Chimpokemon, I was like blown away by it. I was laughing. There were sometimes episodes that I'd laugh like hysterically, like holding my stomach from laughing so much. I
Oh yeah.
really wish
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that feeling, you know?
The World of Warcraft episode was a later one, but oh my god, I was dying the
It was
whole time.
brilliant. It was brilliant.
Dying. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them that were the whole thing with them being in the closet.
That's funny. You, you know what? Do you remember the one with Rob Schneider trailers?
Yes, yeah.
Man,
Rob
man,
Schneider is
it's I'm thinking about it now and laughing. It was so funny. I saw that thing with the trailers with Rob Schneider, and I'm telling you, like it takes like a very, very funny joke to have me like holding my stomach almost in pain laughing to a point where there's like already like real tears like coming out of my eyes because I'm laughing so hard. I don't know why, like those Rob Schneider trailers really made me laugh. I
you know
wonder
one
if
of
I saw them today, I'd think it was funny, but
you know one of the funniest things about that is that
what?
Rob Schneider was asked about it later, and he said he thought it was absolutely hilarious and that they should have been meaner.
You know what? He's a good sport.
Because he's a good sport. He's like, yeah, I make a lot of crappy, terrible movies like The Hot Chick and whatever, right? So,
Right.
and then there was, uh, what was the movie they had him? He was a stapler.
Rob Schneider.
He's
Yes.
he's the stapler.
Here, this is it. Let's see if we can share it. It just made me laugh. Okay.
Rob Schneider was an animal. Then he was a woman. And now Rob Schneider is a stapler. And he's about to find out that being a stapler is harder than it looks. Rob Schneider is the stapler, rated PG-13.
Weak.
The thing is that during that time, those were his movies. That's the
They
truth.
were. He
That
was
was
just
his
making
movies. Like,
one terrible, just crap movie with some ridiculous premise, like one after another. They were everywhere.
let's see if there was another one. There was something else. South Park. Let me see for a second. Oh, there was one also. I remember later they did one with Jim Carrey. These were also funny. I'm probably gonna get in trouble, but these were also funny back in the day. Let me put these on.
Adam Sandler is Jack. Adam Sandler is Jill. Adam Sandler shits in your eyes. It's Adam Sandler in Rated R for Pirates. Fuck you.
Yeah, it still makes me laugh,
Gary,
really.
see any old shit. Yep, that's it. Oh my god.
Ah, that
Well, I don't know
was
where
funny.
I don't know if we can go anywhere but down from there, Price. Maybe we should wrap it up for tonight.
Let's see. I don't know what people here are even thinking that I shared that. People are like, "What is that?" It is funny. It is funny. See, but that's the thing that South Park used to have those moments that they would do that, like, and I feel that that kind of laughter, especially in the earlier years, they could get that kind of laughter out of you just
Oh yeah.
nonstop.
Oh yeah.
That's why for me they're in a different category. Like, I know they themselves respect The Simpsons and it's great, and I respect The Simpsons. And on a lesser, I'm not a huge fan of Family Guy. It's really hit and miss for me. Uh, there are some shows that are funny or not funny or whatever, but man, that thing, South Park, on their day when they're on one of those kind of riding a wave, they're capable of creating real fun. It's strange, now that I think about it. You know that they had a show about George W. Bush. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Here's my bush or something like
That's
that.
my Bush.
That's my
So
bush.
basically, what happened is that they actually were waiting to see who would get elected, and they made like it was some kind of idea that they had, and they struck a deal with Comedy Central that whoever gets elected as president, they're going to do a show about him. So if it would have been Al Gore, there would have been a sitcom about Al Gore in the White House, and if it would have been George W. Bush, it would have been about George W. Bush. And I think that they thought that it would be Al Gore actually. uh, it kind of surprised them, or don't you forget all those like Chads and the
Oh,
contested
I remember
elections.
that well. Yes.
So it kind of put
Yeah.
them in a strange limbo situation with their show because they're like, okay, tell us who the president is, we'll make the show. So it ended up being George W. Bush, and they make this show, That's My Bush. And I actually thought that the show was funny. I thought that it was a very interesting idea. It was kind of surreal. It was something that wasn't really attempted to do, like sort of a current president sitting in the White House, but you're doing like a sitcom about
Yeah,
him that has
it's a sitcom, but yeah, it was funny because early on, of course, there were a bunch of conservatives who were they were like, "This is wrong. You shouldn't make this or whatever." But if you actually watch the show, not much of it is making fun of the Bushes. A lot of it is more making fun of all of the sitcom conventions that they keep
right.
bringing into the show. It's meta in how it's like approaching the whole story and what's happening, and honestly making more fun of sitcoms than it is of the Bushes.
Not only that, actually, they made like Bush look rather likable in some odd way, like as the kind of like like goofy Archie Bunker, whatever they're trying to make him. I thought that they actually made him more likable in some odd way, and I thought that the use of the, like you said, making fun of the whole sitcom format and what they were doing, I thought it was pretty clever satire. But it was the type of show that not many people, I think, understood. Although the viewing ratings weren't even bad. I rumor has it, and again, I don't remember. It's been many years since then. Rumor has it is that the White House and like representatives from there pressured Viacom or whatever it is to make sure that this show goes away. There were some people that had real issues with this show. It actually had enough ratings theoretically to continue to stay as a show, but they canceled it nevertheless. And I think that this annoyed, like, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I think it annoyed them.
Yeah.
Even that whole the whole theme song. Does anybody here in the chat even know what That's My Bush is? Okay, so here it is. Let me see. That's my Bush theme. Anyhow, being the kind of ahead of the time man that I am,
There
I
you go.
recognized it for being sort of actually a quality show Well, most people didn't get it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. I actually somebody said the cartoon was better. I think they incorporated these characters into an episode of South Park later, giving a little bit of closure to the show. Yeah, there was one thing that it was "That's my dick," because like Dick Cheney wanted to become the president. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, like you were
Oddly,
saying initially, they were very much certain. They were certain that Al Gore was going to win, so they had initially planned to make a show called Everybody Loves Al.
right,
Uh, it was essentially going to be the exact same show. It was going to be like the lovable main character, the sassy maid, and the wacky neighbor, right? It was all still going to make fun of sort of the ridiculousness of sitcoms and making fun of the ridiculousness of politics, not so much the individuals themselves. Of course, that was, I think, what maybe sunk the show, is that the people at Comedy Central and a lot of the people watching wanted them to rip into George Bush and make him unlikable and awful and make him a terrible, awful character. And that's not what they had planned for the show. And so they didn't like the idea that in fact Bush was a likable person, when to them he was the great Satan. So that didn't
right.
fly too well.
I guess that's I don't know what the deal was. I don't know who got upset at what, or if they got upset, or like you said, they didn't make him look in a bad light. All I know is this: I actually thought that this show, in some odd way, presented him in a positive light. Now, the thing is, every episode he's in the White House getting into some dumb trouble, kind of like you see like Jack Tripper on Three's Company or something. He's getting
Yeah.
into like the stupidest like trouble, and he's like trying to like bullshit his wife and his kids, and he's trying to hide that he caused the problem and whatever. And in the meantime, they apply it like there was one thing where there's like, nuclear weapons, and he's about like to accidentally launch them because like he made it like a boo boo. And man, they make it like an 80s sitcom. It's brilliant. You know what I mean? They
Mm-hmm.
made him kind of like at times he's like an Al Bundy or something. There is something really, really unique about that show. And when I watched it, I said to myself, this is unique. I remember there were rumors that there's a problem with this production, that there's pressure from all these different directions. And at the end, I think that that's what made this show go away. But when I watched it, I watched every episode and was on while it aired. Like I was totally 100% on board, and I could actually see the merit behind the show. It's not recognized for its brilliance, I think. But that's it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it was definitely amusing, and like you said, it did kind of present Bush. He was a likable character, right? Because that was the whole thing. It wasn't actually supposed to be Bush. It wasn't actually supposed to be all these people. It was a send up of the sitcoms of the 70s and 80s, with them as the characters. But they wanted, yeah, I think there was a lot of people, including some execs at Comedy Central, that wanted Bush to be a despicable. They wanted him to be bad because that's what they saw in that character. That's what they wanted to present from that character. So
By the way, this is the one. There was one episode within this series where Dick Cheney kind of wanted to take over the presidency, and then they altered the intro to represent that, and this was it. Can you see it?
yep.
I really think that like people didn't recognize the brilliance.
No, I don't think they did.
You can't
That
have a
was
successful
that
sitcom with
was
a star you don't like. Sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Kay Levine said, "You can't have a successful sitcom with a star that you don't like." Well, I thought the guy that played George Timothy Buttons or whatever it was, I thought he played George W. Bush really nicely. I thought he was good.
Yeah. It
Well,
was
I get
it wasn't a show that I was watching every episode when it came out. But I did see a few of them.
I thought it was brilliant. I will stay and continue to say that. I liked what they did. I think, and the thing is, every show that starts, almost every show, needs to find its footing. In my opinion, relatively speaking, they already right out the gate did something that I was really intrigued by. I can only imagine if you would have given them a few more seasons, even of 8 episodes each or whatever it was, I think that they would have been able to, like, raise their game. Even for those first 8 episodes, I thought that they had a lot of great ideas, but that's just me. Anyhow, I think, well, let's see. We went over Trump and Musk. We went over the Life of Chuck review, Assassin's Creed. We talked about it. Uh, Now it's just strange late night chatter. Professor,
Um,
anything interesting going on that you wanted to share with us?
oh, good lord. What interesting things going on? It's Pride Month. Are you enjoying all of the Pride activities going on for
Well, it
Pride
seems that
Month?
there's a lot less activities. It's like this year, a lot of these companies are like, you know what? We're just gonna mind our own business.
Yeah, it's almost as if it was always just a show, and they never were actually really committed to any of these values. They just wanted to make it look like they were, so that they could be the good guys and people would keep shopping at their stores and buying their products.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost like
I'm
that was the
sure of
case.
it. The thing is that I personally, this is what I think. I don't think that people should have months anymore. I think
It's
that, like,
ridiculous.
a month of Pride sounds stupid to me. I'm sorry, you know, I don't think that like there should be monthly celebrations. I think that every group that has like maybe a background or a certain day or whatever, I can understand that. It's okay if they had like Pride Day. I'd say okay, that's fair enough. You know what I mean? Pride Month, I don't really get it. Like, why are you celebrating a whole month? I'm going to be like even more controversial here. I think that they're like Black History Month. I don't know. Do you need like a whole month? Like, don't you get a few days or something a year that you maybe commemorate some things? Martin Luther King. Think that's a decent day. Maybe there's a few others we can think of, but I don't understand these like monthly celebrations, especially not in our day and age. Back in the day, you could claim, well, you didn't have internet, people weren't talking, it raised awareness. You take, channels would keep discussing it or talking to you about it on TV, like these big channels. I think that the world is in a different place now. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a day or something to commemorate these things, but a whole month for some kind of topic is like a lot of real estate in people's schedule.
Yeah.
I know some people may be offended by that. I'm not saying not to commemorate. I just don't know if we need a month for every single commemoration.
There's been a number of different video games that have been like, "Oh, look, we're gonna have rainbow guns and rainbow outfits and whatever." And of course, Apple is always like, "Here's our latest Pride band for your Apple Watch." That every year they do that stuff. But oh yeah, a lot of companies have been keeping it close to the vest this year, not doing so much with all the Pride. You'll remember that last year, I think it was last year with, or maybe it was a couple of years ago with Target, where they had this huge Pride display out at the front, and they had tuckable swimsuits for trans people and stuff. And it was like, there were people coming in saying, "I don't want my kids to see that. That's disgusting. Like, get that out of your store. That shouldn't be here." Not that you can't sell those products, but I don't want you to, put, some giant thing. I'm not coming back in this store until that's gone. And, oh, transphobes, all that stuff. But then, yeah, people left. People didn't come back for a while. But yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of these companies have not done any of that junk this year. They've left a lot of that stuff, and haven't been really pushing a lot of that today. Um, I'm trying to think if there was anything else I happened to see in the news, Price, that I thought
Mm,
was
Well, the thing is that I
interesting.
don't know if we mentioned it here. You know that in the Fantastic Four movie, uh, maybe we kind of glossed over it, but it's believed that based on these test screenings that everybody's talking about, unless they change that ending, basically it's the two ladies, it's the Silver Surfer and it's Sue Storm and Franklin, like the baby, whatever. They save the day, you know. Meanwhile, like Reed Richards is like doing the dishes or something while they go and save the day. That's
Yep.
apparently what's being talked about now, and the fact that you had somebody like Grace Randolph sitting around and like criticizing it and calling it the MCU is just like mind blowing. And she seems so miserable when she admits that there's an MCU. There's nothing that makes like Grace Randolph more miserable than to admit it, but she actually sits there and admits it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw that.
Yeah. She's. I don't really like to use that term, but that's just what it's become. It is the MCU.
It is.
Yeah.
There's really nothing more you can. Let me see if I can find this thing. Where are her live? I think it's a live stream.
Yeah.
Here.
There were the covers for the new Fantastic Four Empire magazine covers. Those were shown off over the last couple of days.
So let's see for a second. It's something here. Let's see if I can share it. It'll probably be annoying, but let's do it anyways.
You know, it's hard not to use that as a description when you're
Here.
you situation. You know, the that's you know, a lot of us don't like that term, which has really taken.
Wait, I wanted to say it.
He creates reality. He's basically, you know, what Wanda did in WandaVision. That's what Franklin can do, and Franklin can create whole universes. You know, and that's the reasoning that everybody's always thought that why Galactus would want him, because he could keep Galactus fed, because he can just create universes and worlds for Galactus to consume. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious as to what's going to happen here. So I heard that you're going to not only see Franklin use his powers, but you're going to see Franklin use his powers in a way he never has before. Theoretically could. All right, so that's the Franklin team.
Okay.
Then I'm very worried about the MCU situation. You know, that's, you know, a lot of us don't like that term, which has really taken, it's a very effective term. It has really taken hold. And I do think that there are some instances, you know, where Marvel has leaned into it to such a degree that, you know, it's hard not to use that as a description when you're like, but, you know, like, what do you want from me, man? You know, like, if it was better balanced, you know, you wouldn't be able to use that. So I don't like the term, but I don't like the fact that Marvel continues to give certain groups the ability to use it. Like, I would think at this point that Marvel would be able.
Who's the certain groups, though? I mean, what is it? Fans? I mean, certain groups. Like, she's basically what's happening here is that she's having trouble consolidating two things. She thinks of like Gary, of like, you know, online fandoms of people that have been shitting on these movies that suck. She's agreeing with those people. She knows everything that we've all been saying is true, and then she's like, no, those people. Just shut up. You know what I mean?
To get out ahead of things and understand
the fandom menace.
They were going to run
They're the
smack
bad
into the
guys.
MCU allegation, and I was quite surprised.
It's not an MCU allegation. It really is. That's what they're doing, and I don't know. I just feel like this is so disingenuous that on one hand she admits that everything that we've been saying for years is true, and on the other hand she's just still trying to spin it that there's like bad people embracing this. No, they're using the term because that's what it is. You know, it's not. This is all a lot of like her dancing around instead of admitting the truth, in my opinion.
To learn from this test screening. And, you know, I don't know, they could change things. I don't think it's too late to change anything. I mean, it would be very late for last minute reshoots. Okay. However, someone just sent me 23 text messages and I was like, oh my God, but they're just sending me pictures. I got really nervous. I was like, oh, do I need to stop the stream? But it's pictures. Okay. All right. So how do I want to phrase
Such a
this?
weirdo.
Even though it's a team of one woman and three guys, I think that they're going to have a situation at the end of the movie where it's women who save the day. And you're like, why? Can't Reed at least be involved? You know, you're like, come come on, man. Like, come on. Let's see what they decide to do. I mean, I guess technically Franklin. So I guess, okay, so women and a baby, and you're like, why do you do it? Like, I don't want to say MCU, but then you're like, but what am I supposed to say in response to that? Like,
That's it. She doesn't even know what to do anymore. She really wants to throw like all the fans under the bus, but she can't even do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You could really tell that she's like short circuiting while discussing this matter because she doesn't quite know. You know, sometimes a person, I think that what they should do in a situation like this is just be honest and admit it. If I were her and I wasn't doing this disingenuous thing, I would just come out and say, you know what, guys, for a long time I've been very against this idea of the MCU. I criticized people. I really, stood up and said, that's stood up with the studio, really stood for these movies, supported what they were doing. But at some point, a person, can also admit their mistake. This thing is the MCU. It is not what the fans want, and I accept that, I was wrong. If she would have said that, I would have actually respected her. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
Like, if she would have sat there seriously and saying, like, you know what, sometimes a person is wrong. I said it at the beginning. I dismissed this term, but when I think about it now and look at these movies, there's really no other way to say it. And there's no point in arguing or blaming people. This is a real thing, and the movies, have really leaned into this, and they're alienating viewers. If she would have said that, I'm telling you, she would have scored like 1,000,000 points with me. Like, I would have
Well,
said, you know what, this lady, fine. She made mistakes in the past. She admitted her mistake. Sometimes a person sitting and admitting their mistake, I can respect that. But this is like she's still trying to claim that there's bad people that use this term, whereas like still, even though they're bad, the term may have some merit. It's just an annoying narrative,
yeah, it really is.
There's just something very disingenuous about it. But I also don't know how this lady has like 1,000,000 followers. She is really irritating. If you think about it.
Oh yeah, I know she's she's incredibly irritating. What are you talking
I don't know
about?
how she could like I mean I give her credit that considering that I find her rather irritating, she has a large following. I mean, can't take that away from her, but man, I don't know. Uh Phantom Outsider. She cannot make a mistake that goes against the stunning and brave woman who was the star of her life drama. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that, but sometimes, recently I'll give you an example. There have been a number of times where Bill Maher is by no means not like my favorite guy. I don't watch him religiously, but there have been situations that he came and he said, you know what, I made a mistake. I did this, and this in the past. I think that was a mistake, and he's done that on a number of occasions. And you know what? the, the minimum respect, because like a lot of times he just is able to be honest even with himself about certain things. I give him just at least a little bit of respect. He's not my favorite guy, but I'm still saying that. So there have been instances that I thought, okay, I kind of respect that he said this. But Grace Randolph is like one of those that'll never, no matter what happens, she'll have to find a spin for why, try to consolidate or explain what's happening,
Yeah.
which I think is dumb.
Yeah, she's simply not able to hold two opposing ideas in her head at the same time. As they say, she can't keep the idea that, whoa, girl bosses are great. Oh, I need to support women and everything. Oh, everything that Marvel makes is wonderful. She's got that over here on one side of her head, and on the other side she's got, oh wait, this actually doesn't make sense. Maybe some of those people that I've constantly said terrible things about might actually be right. This is terrible. She can't reconcile those two those two
Right.
different
Caleb
thoughts.
Levine saying, "You were right and we were wrong, but you're still a bad person." Yeah, it's something along those lines. Bigot on socialist media said Bill is usually pretty balanced for a Democrat unless he's having kids on his podcast talking about stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Weird.
She does not know how to move from item to item, as she cannot organize what passes for the thoughts the studios have distributed to her. Something like that. Bill Maher makes Doomcock look like a journalist. Hey, you know, Doomcock from time to time has some interesting insights. I don't. I. He's done nothing wrong to me. He's always been nice to me.
Yeah.
The only
He's a little over the top, but yeah, I've never had a real problem with him. He is
he's
who he is.
entertaining. He's entertaining,
Yeah,
if
he
nothing
is.
else. You know, I think that people don't realize that now, but when kind of a lot of us started being in these circles, he was this guy that just like, you know, created sort of a character and went into that character and was kind of doing that thing. It was rather unique. It was something different. And I at the time when he was, you know, especially in the earlier stages, I thought that he was doing something rather creative and fun. You know, I understand that sometimes there's a lot of rumors, and maybe a lot of the rumors he reported, some of it didn't pan out, or you know, some people had issues with. But he's always been to me, you know, it seemed rather entertaining. The only thing is, that, as I said, I feel like if I had to like level any comment about him, is that I never got like a thank you for creating his catchphrase. But that's fine. Like I literally created his catchphrase, the Doomcock was right hashtag. I created it. I am the creator of his catchphrase. I'm not saying that to like, you know, toot my own horn. I'm not also saying anything against him. I'm just stating a fact. Like I created that hashtag, which has become like his slogan, you know? I'm serious. I'm so serious.
Yep.
Even like, you know, the other day, let me see for a second. The other day I saw this.
Yep.
Where is it? Let me find his account. And again, I want to make it clear. I don't have anything against him. I like the guy. He's always been nice to me. And I don't, you know, I respect his work and all that stuff. Don't have anything against him. What I wanted to show is this is it. Here. Are you let me see if I can share it. So uh that was Grace Randolph. Doomcock. Do you see this thing?
Yep.
So it says, many thanks to my friend Matt McGloin. Yeah, Matt McGloin is a good guy at Cosmic Book News for reporting this confirmation of the rumors I reported and pointing out that once again, hashtag Doomcock was right. Matt, I appreciate you reporting this. I'll have a video about this soon. So Doomcock was right. I know this sounds strange, but I am the creator of this hashtag. And this is like the slogan of Doomcock. And nobody's ever given me credit, but it is the truth. I am the creator of it. Let's see if I can somehow prove it. There used to be something. Does it still exist that you can sort, you know, like advanced search for tweets?
Hmm.
Because I think it's going to be too much for me to scroll. Let's see for a second. Do you know what I'm talking about? You used to be able to have like advanced search for tweets.
Yeah.
Advanced search. Okay. Advanced search. Hashtag Doomcock was right. And then let's do dates. Okay. Let's just say, let's go from like January 2018. Oh, it's January 1st, 2018. This will be the last thing we do, Professor, and then we'll sign off. To January 1st, 2019. Are you with me?
Got it.
Okay. We put in Doomcock was right as the hashtag. We did January 1st, 2018, January 1st, 2019. And now let's see what comes up. This isn't what I expected. Let's do. Maybe it was in 2019. I don't know. I thought it was in 2018. Okay, let's do to 20. Let's see if this helps. Okay, so it's going by the latest, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we're basically people are using it, okay? And we're going all the way to the first time anybody's using it. You saw that in 2018 it didn't appear, correct? This is now it's clear that it appeared in 2019 to 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see. I'm trying my best here. A lot of people are using it. This became like a thing. Okay, no more scrolling. Do you see I'm trying to scroll, but there's nothing more at the
Yep.
bottom of this.
That's what I found. Yep.
November 20th, 2019, I wrote Kathleen Kennedy just said that they're currently still trying to get the story right for Tross, for The Rise of Skywalker. She also just said that while Lucas may have disliked Abrams and Johnson's ideas, he enjoyed their filmmaking. What the fuck? Sorry, Sean. Doomcock was right. Hashtag Doomcock was right. And then, at least for a while, I don't know if it's still like that. View all post engagements. Like, hey, you liked it.
Because I was looking at it just now.
Oh, okay. Thanks, bro. It's a little late, but okay. Now, I don't know if it stayed, but for a while, I believe there was like a repost or a like from Doomcock. I know now it's difficult to find. Maybe over the years the likes disappeared for some reason. But here he is. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say? And a lot of people liked it. A lot of people saw this. A lot of people were reposting it. Uh, I thought that at the time you reposted it. I'm not sure now it's in my reposts anymore. But obviously, this thing was a thing. Okay.
Yep.
So before we go, I want to ask the people in the chat. Can you see that some people think, oh, he probably says a bunch of weird shit and he's just a liar that makes things up. And I've told you before, Professor, that anything that I have ever told you is actually true. Even when like you hear some weird story from me and you're like thinking this is probably like nonsense and it didn't happen, even that happened. Anything that like you're even questioning, whatever I've told here, like on this on any stream even that we sit around and we talk, I only tell things that really did happen.
Yep.
But in any
I
case,
looked it up myself.
right? I mean, do you acknowledge that it didn't exist before I said
Yes.
it? I brought the hashtag. They only
Oh, you
started
there,
using
Bryce?
it afterwards.
Is my internet going out again?
Can you hear me, or can I not hear you?
Yeah.
I feel like I
Disconnected
hear
again.
him. Biggin on social media. There isn't a reason to make this up. No, there isn't. There isn't any kind of reason to make it up. All I'm saying is that. All I'm saying that. You know, I don't like to throw other people under the bus, but I do want to say something because people are mentioning like Cameron Pasha. I don't know that guy. Uh, I feel like a lot of times, you know, there have been certain channels that really rely on him for these kind of like scoops. I personally, how do I say this? I could have been a quote unquote scooper too, if that's what's being a scooper means. To just sit and sort of say like, you know, half-ass things and present them as like some big deal. And I'm very politely describing it. I could have done that as well. In some cases, I could have done much more than a lot of these people, and in some cases, I would even have more to say than some of these people, and some of it would actually be more accurate. Uh, I never love situations where there's just some guy sitting there and just saying a bunch of stuff that's so kind of loose without real backing of any facts. And I think for a while, like you know, that Cameron Pasha guy really, you know, and I interacted with him too. I had no reason. I give people credit. You know, people say I do this, I do that. I have a lot of information, and I try to give them credit. But you know, obviously, when you look today at a lot of things that were reported then, uh, you know, maybe you could say somebody leaked information to him that was incorrect, maybe. But most of the stuff that I think that he's said to date in my opinion, hasn't really played out. There was the four horses of the apocalypse that, according to him, accountants were in Lucasfilm. They had disabled Kathleen Kennedy's emails about like 3-4 years ago, so she couldn't get any more email, and they didn't allow her into the office. And it was a matter of days before, not only, according to him at the time, not only that she's removed from Lucasfilm, but she could end up like, according to him, maybe like with like an investigation that could lead to like criminal charges. There were like bonkers things being said. Now, if I'm a generous person, I would say that maybe that guy got some information from people that were not reliable. That's if I'm very, very generous. Okay, Professor?
Yes.
Like, that's if I'm very generous. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
But, yes. Yeah, he says, I don't mind Cameron. I just take some of the things he says with a pinch of salt, with like bucket of salt. You know what I mean? It's like it's the equivalent of sometimes when I know how to sum up like that guy. And this is just my opinion. I don't have anything personal against him. Everybody has their hustle and that's fine. But I feel like his scoops, for the most part, and this is after years of looking at them, it's kind of when you're like at the supermarket and you're at the cash register, and while you're putting your groceries on that conveyor belt, there's like a stand with newspapers, and it's like you know those kind of divorce ones. I don't know, couples that they keep saying they're getting divorced and all this. You know what I'm trying to say? And like aliens visited them and like they're getting divorced, and like the National Enquirer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The
I think
rags.
that's what I'm trying to say. Cameron Pasha, in my opinion, and that's just based on the results. It's not a matter of like, oh, you're just being a jerk. Based on the results, I would put him in the category of like the National Enquirer at the supermarket. Now, some people say, well, I love the National Enquirer. It has all these fantastical stories in it. It's entertaining to read a bunch of stuff that's like a bunch of crazy things. And it's fun. If you like the National Enquirer, that's the kind of direction that you get. Uh, there's a marketplace for it. People enjoy it, and that's fine. I personally, I'm not as National Enquirer. Sometimes I'm sad that I'm not a National Enquirer, because if I was, I think that a lot more people would watch videos. I mean, it's like Mike Zero. Mike Zero just writes just
Like
talks about a
zero.
bunch of crap every video. He's making up a bunch of nonsense on the spot. He is also the equivalent of like the National Enquirer. Buckets and buckets of salt. It's not even like, a little pinch of salt. But that's my opinion. Let's start saying goodbye to people. So on Rumble, we have Kivo 1961, Elizabeth Quince, Whalem. Is it Whalem? Is it Whalem? I thought Whalem was on YouTube.
William.
Whalem. William. Okay, William. I don't know if it's the same or different William. Okay. Phantom Monk, Sharp 8, Double R Star, Jimmy Nature, Dude Bro Seth, cheers, bro. Folsom Lockdown, Bigot on Socialist Media, B-Roll Stage, Bingo Hazmat, Hypno Crab. And then, do you want to say the YouTube ones?
I'll get the YouTube ones. Give me just a second. All right, we've got Ace Hanlon, Alyssa Marie, Ams S, Barbara Lawrence. Hey there, Babs. Breeze Feats, Caleb Levine, Christopher White, Dave C. Good to see you, Dave. DJ Play Nice. Hang 10, buddy. Wee. E. Clay Thomason, FKHC 2005, Granola Grin, Isaac 556X45, James Caserta, Jeanette, Jonathan Conroy, Lasher, Marla Sharondoff, Marks 47, Michael S. Archer, Marrockstro, Phantom Outsider, Phantom Monk, Rob Not Scoobla, Read by Nature, Samsung, Sean Green, Scottish Celts, Stephen Mack, Superior Nav, The Dead Man, Devastator, Tim Hayes, Void King, Whalem03, Yitis, and Zonar J5. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and thanks to everybody who's hanging out, just listening, lurking, and thanks to everybody who's listening and watching after the fact.
And final thing just on our way out, because I forgot I wanted to show you this because I think it's silly, but I'll do that and we'll be on our way.
Oh no.
According to Tony Gilroy, every episode of Andor costs $27,083,000 to make. At 24 episodes total, it means that Disney has flushed $650 million down the toilet.
Down the
That is a
toilet.
lot of money. That is a lot of money. I'm sorry. That is a lot of money to make those 24 episodes. Every episode, imagine that every episode costs $27 million. Do you realize what you could do? How many movies, how many productions you can make with that? And if you ask me, I would have preferred productions.
Every
I
one of those single episodes could have
cost,
been
yes.
could have been an independent film with a creator, with with a vision. It could have hired dozens of people making an independent film, and they could have made a little $20-25 million movie that made 4 or 5 times that in the theaters, right? Just and even even if half of those didn't perform, let's say they got a half of them that did, they're still coming out smelling like roses. They made great money. Here, they have thrown $750 million down the streaming toilet. Have you heard some of the other stories too that have been coming out about how basically like Tony Gilroy was told by someone at Disney that streaming was dead?
Yeah, I saw that. They said he was
Good
dead,
grief.
and he's like, I had to fight for the money. It's like, dude, you're asking for a lot of money. This is a lot of fucking money. Sorry, Sean. Jeanette said, also, chat, could you give some love to the real life fake wizard and his channel? You'd probably like him. He got slapped hard by Disney for his Lilo review. I am not familiar with the real life fake wizard, but if Jeanette likes him, Jeanette, mon chéri, then
Yes.
you should
I
check
am
him out.
familiar with the real life fake wizard. I've seen a few reviews from real life fake wizard. So, got smacked by Disney, huh?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that, but I obviously I like you, Jeanette, and if you said that, then I highlighted it, and hopefully people will see it. Did you still have something to say, or
Nope,
do
that
you?
was it. Yeah,
That was
it
it.
was just on top of that, just that Tony, you're right. Not only did they throw away nearly, you know, 3/4 or 2/3 of $1 billion on this, but that Tony Gilroy is well aware that streaming is a dead end, and they were never gonna make much of an impact with this anyway. So
I'm sure. But what I
ridiculous,
wanted to say before we
ridiculous.
leave is that we actually the missing subscriber came back. I mean, it's
Oh,
not the same
fantastic!
one, but we managed to recover, and we got like we went down one, and now we're back to where we were. So, in any case, I guess on that positive
Yeah,
note, we can head out. I
yeah.
want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Did we look at all the super chats and all that stuff?
Do believe we got all of those. Lasher says that he started watching the show, watching Andor, and really likes it. There are plenty of things to enjoy, Lasher, but unfortunately, there's a whole lot of just nothing.
Filler. I could
Yeah.
have taken like $100 million, taken like the important beats out of those 24 episode, made it into like, maybe you make one or two movies. Maybe you could take even 150 million and you give each movie like 75 million. Even if you really, really pushed here, 100 million per movie, and that's it. You make two movies that are 100 million, 100 million. You release them. Maybe there's something to work with there. 650 million for that farce. I just don't see it. There's some moments in it that I liked, but there's a lot of boring filler. And if the boring filler costs $27 million an episode, I just don't see the justification for me. But if you enjoyed it, it's cool. I know people have different opinions. Some people really like Andor, and I respect that. I would never tell fans what to like or not. I can only speak for myself. Like I said, interesting ideas, cool moments, but overall, a lot of things I also didn't like about the show. That's just me. And on that positive note, we'll head out, and we want to thank everybody in the chat. And I want to thank you, Professor, for being here, as always. And we'll see you all on Thursday, as we always do. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's the Night Owl, 11:45 p.m. And if you Eastern, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you should do so now. Also on Rumble, if you haven't signed up, sign up, follow, do all that good stuff. And I guess that's it. Good night.
Night, everyone.
Bye.